Chapter 81. That. Hinata scratched his head and finally decided to tell the truth. Father, have you seen this move before? With that said, Hinata stuck out his small tongue and licked it. Hyogo, Hinata's face was serious, but his tone was a little impatient. I'm telling you, that person is really powerful, just his murderous aura alone is several times stronger than Zabuza and Kakashi. If I didn't run away at that time, I would have been killed by him. Hyogo and Great Elder looked at each other, and then said to Hinata, I probably know who the person you are talking about is, you did a good job. Great Elder also praised, keen insight and intuition of crisis, these are essential qualities to become an excellent ninja. Hinata's face was slightly red. You praise me so much, I'm almost embarrassed. Ahem. Great Elder coughed lightly and said lightly, there is still a month before the third exam. At that time, the distinguished guests of all countries will be present to watch. Hinata, you are the heir of our Hyuga main family, you must perform well and get first place in the Chunin exam. Hinata's face showed a hint of embarrassment, and tentatively said, but, with my current strength, even if I don't train, they are not my opponents. Training or something, I don't think it's better to forget about it. Hyogo's face was serious, and said seriously, this time, you are absolutely not allowed to be lazy. Between me and Great Elder, one of us will watch your training. This is really going to kill him. Since this plan didn't work, Hinata came up with another one, but I still want to create another unique technique in this month. Hayashi said, with your talent, I believe you can succeed. Hinata was just about to show joy, but he heard Hyogo continue, but creating a ninjutsu is not something that can be done overnight, you can slowly think about it after training. Hinata took a deep breath and said, Hyogo interrupted, I know what you are thinking, but for this month, I will not show any mercy. Hinata asked tentatively, only this month? Snap, snap, snap. Hinata had no choice but to practice with Hyuga Hayashi. Hyogo knew the details of Hinata's strength, and he also used Gentle Fist with all his strength. Although Hinata was forced into a disadvantage, he didn't show the slightest sign of defeat. Hinata has mastered most of the techniques of the Hyuga main family, the rest, it doesn't matter whether he learned it or not. The training of Gentle Fist was a process of going from simple to complicated, and then from complicated to simple. When you reach the level of Hinata and Hyogo, in addition to those powerful unique skills, you can only continue to practice the most basic Gentle Fist, starting from the most essential chakra, in order to improve your strength. Hinata has guessed before that if the Byakugan of the Hyuga family wants to evolve, talent alone is not enough, it must be practiced day and night. Perhaps there are many Hyuga family ninjas in the past, after practicing to the level of Hyogo or Kage, they found that the progress of their strength was slow, or they simply couldn't improve, so they simply gave up practicing and only maintained their current strength. Therefore, for thousands of years, no one in the Hyuga family can make the Byakugan go further. For example, the training of Hinata and Hyogo is not only about the depth of the Gentle Fist, but also about the Byakugan. The faster the speed of the fight, the more effective the training of the Byakugan will be. The evolution of the Byakugan is not like the Sharingan, which has 1 Tomo, 2 Tomo, and 3 Tomo levels. In the beginning, the Byakugan only needs to condense enough chakra to open the Byakugan. With the increase of strength, the Byakugan can see farther and clearer, and the consumption of chakra will also increase. But in the end, there is still an upper limit. After reaching the upper limit of the Byakugan, what needs to be done is to start from the essence of chakra. And this kind of change, for a Hyuga family ninja, what needs is constant practice of Gentle Fist. Hinata and Hyogo didn't use the unique skills of Gentle Fist, only the most basic of Gentle Fist. Seeing the growth of his daughter, Hyogo was very pleased. Time flies, just a few years ago, Hinata didn't even reach Hyogo's waist. When he first trained Hinata, Hinata was less than 5 years old, and could barely reach Hyogo's thigh. In the blink of an eye, Hinata can already fight Hyogo without losing. After a while, Hyogo pushed back Hinata, and said lightly, well, rest for a while, and then continue to practice. Hinata secretly glanced at Hyogo, and seemed to have discovered something, and said excitedly, it's okay, father, I'm not tired at all, let's continue to practice. After that, Hinata attacked again, and Hyogo had no choice but to block. It's rare for his daughter to take the initiative to train. Hyogo should be pleased. But if the purpose of his daughter's initiative to train is to beat up her father, Hyogo is helpless and tired. Hyogo is also very surprised. Hinata's chakra is too large. More than a year ago, it was only a bit higher than him, but now it's several times higher than him. The Hyuga family's chakra is far more than ordinary ninjas, but Hinata's chakra is far more than the Hyuga family. What the hell is going on? Chakra is the foundation of a ninja, and a person with a high amount of chakra is not necessarily strong, but the amount of chakra of a strong person must be very high. Hyogo recalled the strange things about Hinata. In addition to his personality, Hinata's appetite is far more than others. Hyogo is a ninja from the same era as Minato, and naturally, he has seen Minato's wife, Uzumaki Kushina. Uzumaki is a long-lived ninja family, and they are proficient in sealing techniques. Their family's advantage is that they have a large amount of chakra. Hyogo carefully analyzed, chakra is a combination of spiritual energy and physical energy, and Uzumaki Kushina and Naruto's personalities. Could it be that people with strange personalities have a higher amount of chakra than normal people? It seems to make sense. And Hinata's appetite is so big. Where did all the food go? Through eating to strengthen the body, through abnormal brain circuits to strengthen the spiritual energy. Is this the real reason why Hinata has a large amount of chakra? Hyuga Hayashi thought to himself, should I give it a try? He imagined himself drawing on the rock of Naruto like Naruto, imagining himself eating and drinking like Hinata. Hyogo shuddered, I'd rather not become strong than become like them. Hinata aimed at the gap and hit Hyogo's abdomen. Seeing that Hyogo has no time to defend, Hinata retracted his chakra and only used the strength of his arm to push Hyogo back. Alas! In the end, he is the father of this body. It's not good to hit his kidneys. Everything is for mom. Chapter 82. Hinata hasn't seen Naruto, Sasuke, and Kakashi for a long time. If there is no accident, Sasuke should be practicing Chidori with Kakashi, and Naruto also met the old pervert Jiraiya. A few days ago, Hinata, Sakura, and Ino went to Shinobu Hospital to visit the injured Xiao Li. He recovered quite well. After all, he didn't have his hands and feet broken by my love like in the original work. If it's just muscle and tendons, Shinobu Hospital can still treat it. When they came back, Hinata also specifically reminded Sakura and Ino not to go to the hot springs for a month because of the appearance of perverted ghosts. Recently, Niji has also been practicing with his father, Hyuga Hisashi, and they can't even see him. Approaching the third round of the Chunin exam, everyone is seizing the time to make the final sprint. Those who pass the exam want to get better results, and those who didn't pass the exam don't want to fall behind others. Hinata sneaked out to play several times, but he didn't meet anyone to chat with. Instead, he ate meatballs with Anko's strange sister once, and their relationship became much closer. Hinata Takuma also invited a gambling master for Hinata. When he was free at night, Hinata also learned a lot. Although, if he gambles with Tsunade, the probability of winning is almost 100%. But after all, Hinata hasn't been exposed to this knowledge before, and he always has to understand the most basic rules and play. As the days passed, Hinata's new ninjutsu was also on the agenda. In the practice room, Hinata and Hyogo suddenly separated. Hinata looked a little embarrassed, and Hyogo was tired and panting. Although Hyogo can still suppress Hinata with his experience in Gentle Fist, his chakra is not as much as Hinata. After a long time, Hyogo can't keep fighting. Moreover, Hinata's recent progress is getting faster and faster. Originally, Hyogo could still hold back, but now fighting with Hinata, holding back is completely suicidal. Looking at the calm Hinata in front of him, Hyogo felt a little helpless, a little unwilling, and a little relieved. His daughter has practiced for less than 10 years, and she has surpassed his decades of hard work. Even if she is his own daughter, he still felt a little uncomfortable in his heart. TSK. Hinata looked at Hyogo, who was already tired, and felt a little proud. This is the difference between ordinary players and cheat players. Decades of hard work in cultivation was often not as effective as a cheat player using a cheat. not to mention a cheat that had been bought with money. After a while, Hyogo stabilized his breath and said faintly, "It seems that you have also practiced to this point, the level that every Hyuga has to face." Hinata nodded slightly. She knew what Hyogo was referring to. Gentle Fist has limitations, and this is also the limitation of taijutsu. Hyogo's strength has not improved for a long time. His daily practice now can only ensure that his state does not decline. The same is true for Hisashi. The strength of these two brothers is equal, but they stopped here. Hyogo introduced, although our Hyuga family's Gentle Fist is known as the strongest taijutsu school, combining defense, close attack, and long-range attack, it also has certain limitations. Hyogo and Namake's Minato are ninjas of the same generation. He has experienced World War II and World War III, so he is very knowledgeable. Coupled with the information collected by the Hyuga family over the years, Hyogo has a clear understanding of the strong ninja in the ninja world. Every top ninja in the ninja world has one or several trump cards. These trump cards are called Forbidden Jutsu, or Super Ninjutsu in practicality, and power has reached S-class. Hyuga family's current strongest ninjutsu is Mountain Break. Although its power is also very strong, it is good against ordinary ninjas, but once it fights against those top ninjas, its lethality is still a bit weak. Of course, most ninjas are the assassin type with high attack and low defense, and ninjas who master defensive ninjutsu are very few. And this is also the reason why Hyuga family can be called the strongest. Because there are no monsters in the ninja world at this time. But Hyogo is very clear in his heart, like the Jinchuriki of each village, the Kagero of each village, and those ninjas who have mastered powerful forbidden jutsu. These strong people are not people he can compete with. At most, he can stay undefeated for a certain period of time. The so-called strongest in the Hyuga family is only the strongest in the eyes of ordinary ninjas. Hyogo continued, all forbidden jutsu are either used to the extreme of the 5 elements ninjutsu, or involve the practice of yin-yang release. About this point, you should be very clear about it by now. Hyuga family specializes in taijutsu, and rarely practice ninjutsu. Although the progress is very fast in the early stage, it is very difficult to take another step forward when you reach our level. Your 20 Gods air attack looks powerful, but in the end, it is only an auxiliary ninjutsu. Hyogo is right, 20 Gods air attack needs to be combined with Mountain Break and Air Palm in order to exert its power, and its power is not strong. After all, Hinata's ninjutsu is not the original version of 80 Gods air attack. Hinata also asked seriously, then, our Hyuga clan's cultivation has reached this step, can we really stop here? Hyogo shook his head and explained, the taijutsu school of ninjutsu can be roughly divided into 3 types: Gentle Fist, Steel Fist, and taijutsu. In fact, at our level, we are no longer limited to taijutsu, but we have integrated ninjutsu into taijutsu. Hinata nodded. In fact, Akai's Hashiman Tonku, Tsunade's monstrous strength fist, and Reikichi taijutsu are not simple taijutsu, but ninjutsu that focuses on taijutsu. Hyogo continued, and the power of our Hyuga family comes from Byakugan. Hyogo's next words were similar to Hinata's previous analysis. Byakugan and Gentle Fist complement each other. Byakugan can not only assist Gentle Fist in combat, but also change the nature of chakra. Byakugan can affect chakra, and practicing Gentle Fist can make Byakugan stronger. Hyogo looked at Hinata with a dignified expression and said, Hinata, your talent is very strong, reaching this level at the age of 12, with the growth of your body, your strength will be improved very quickly. And me and Hisashi, after all, our talent is still a little bit worse. When Gentle Fist reaches its peak, it is also the time when the body begins to age. Hinata also said with a serious expression, so, I am the hope of the Hyuga family. I am really the most powerful. Hyogo ignored Hinata's narcissism and said with a serious expression, in our Hyuga main family, there is a secret that has been passed down from generation to generation, except for the patriarch, no one knows about it. Hinata's interest was piqued and she asked, what's that secret? Hyogo took a deep breath and opened Byakugan to look around. Even if there were no hidden eyes and ears around, Hyogo still lowered his voice and said, it is the ultimate secret of the shinobi world, involving the secrets of the Sage of the 6 Paths and the Bijou. It is also the ultimate secret of Byakugan. Chapter 83. Hyuga Hayashi mysteriously said that it was daytime, but Hinata finally realized that he didn't know as much as she did. When the Hyuga clan first passed down their inheritance, Otsutsuki Kagaya had already been sealed, and the Hyuga family knew very little. And with the passage of time and the war of the shinobi world, many things were lost in the end. But there was one thing that attracted Hinata's interest. It was an incomplete version of the Gentle Fist secret technique, or Gentle Fist forbidden technique. It's a unique skill that really involves the word forbidden technique. The strongest attack of the Hyuga family now, Mountain Breaker, evolved from this incomplete version of the forbidden technique. This is a secret that only the Hyuga clan leader is qualified to know. After listening to Hyogo's explanation, Hinata's face was a little dignified. There are too many missing parts. Some people once said that it was Namikaze Minato who perfected the Flying Thunder God Jutsu, and it was Orochi Maru who perfected the Edo Tensei. But before that, these two forbidden techniques were incomplete. As for this secret technique, it was an incomplete version. In fact, there are some things that Hinata knows far more than Hyogo. For example, Senjutsu. Of the few powerhouses who have mastered Senjutsu, so far, almost no one has shown the power of Senjutsu in public. There are still very few people who know about the existence of Senjutsu. At least Hyogo doesn't know about it. And this incomplete version of the secret technique involves the manipulation of natural energy. Hyogo believes that only the Hyuga clan ninja with a huge amount of chakra is qualified to perfect and learn this secret technique. Because there is a sentence passed down at the same time with this secret technique: resonance with your own chakra. Without knowing the natural energy, Hyogo can only think that using this secret technique requires a huge amount of chakra. But Hinata understood in an instant that this is natural energy. Therefore, this move could really be an incomplete version of the 80 Gods Void Strike. After saying goodbye to Hyogo, Hinata took a shower and returned to his room. Lying on the bed, Hinata pondered over how to perfect and practice the true version of the 80 Gods Air Strike. For a powerhouse like Otsutsuki Kagaya, who has mastered the yin-yang release and obtained natural energy by swallowing the fruit of the God Tree, the 80 Gods Air attack may be an ordinary attack to her. But for the current Hinata, it was difficult to understand. Hinata was no longer limited to this world's gentle fist and ninjutsu knowledge. Cultivating natural energy was actually a little similar to cultivating immortality. Hinata had read a lot of novels about cultivation in his previous life. Naturally, his imagination was far beyond the imagination of the people in this world. Although most of them were fabricated things, they could give Hinata some hints and help Hinata think more. If a ninja's normal cultivation is compared to the foundation establishment stage, then cultivating natural energy is undoubtedly the chi refining stage. It can also be said that it is refining essence into chi and refining chi into spirit. Then there is the golden core stage, the nascent soul stage. Hinata looked at the ceiling with empty eyes. The style is getting stranger and stranger. But if you use the cultivation knowledge of the immortal cultivation world to interpret ninja's cultivation, this comparison doesn't seem to be wrong. According to the cultivation method of the immortal cultivation world, the foundation establishment stage is actually to lay a solid foundation and cultivate inner breath, and the chi refining stage is to attract the spiritual energy of heaven and earth into the body. But in the ninja world, except for the 3 holy lands, the natural energy of the outside world is extremely thin, and ordinary ninjas can't perceive it at all. But thin doesn't mean that there is no natural energy. After Naruto became an immortal, he can also absorb natural energy from the outside world to enter the sage mode. So in the end, the first step of cultivating immortal cultivation is to perceive natural energy, and the second step is how to control it. Hinata felt that his head was a little big. But Hinata really has a hole in his brain. With the existence of Byakugan, he can see the meridians and acupoints in the body. And Gentle Fist is a kind of body technique that can control chakra to the finest degree. Hyuga family's revolving heaven can release chakra from all the acupoints in the body. But these are all used on the enemy. But if these are used in his own cultivation, what effect will there be? Hinata continued to think. Since Byakugan can see the meridians and acupoints in the body, Revolving Heaven can release chakra from all the acupoints in the body, cultivate gentle fist, and control the flow of every chakra in detail. Then, if he slowly releases chakra with the Revolving Heaven technique, can he perceive the natural energy in the natural world through chakra's perception? Then, he can use his own chakra to guide this energy into the body, and then enter the chi refining stage. However, Jiraiya once said that the key to practicing senjutsu is to maintain a relative balance between the spiritual energy, physical energy, and natural energy in the body. But Namikaze Minato's example tells us that as long as the natural energy does not exceed the limits of spiritual energy and physical energy, senjutsu can also be used. Yes, although Namikaze Minato can't enter sage mode, he can use senjutsu. Hinata's requirements are not high, as long as he can use natural energy like Namikaze Minato. Although he can't enter the 3 holy lands to cultivate, if Hinata's imagination is true, even in the outside world, it is not impossible to practice senjutsu. In other words, it is simple to sense and use natural energy. Hinata suddenly got up from the bed. It is better to act than to think. No matter how big the imagination is, it is better to try it out personally. Hinata climbed out of bed and sat on the floor. Byakugan. Activating Byakugan, his meridians and acupoints can be clearly seen. Hinata has already learned Revolving Heaven, but Revolving Heaven is to release chakra through the acupoints of the whole body at a very fast speed and rotate. Hinata is now using the Revolving Heaven technique to slowly release chakra from the acupoints of the body. As long as chakra is not too far away from the body, it will be controlled by the body, but it is extremely difficult. While trying to control chakra, it is even more difficult to calm down and perceive natural energy. Hinata recalled the process of Naruto practicing senjutsu. There is a scene of Naruto sitting on the top of the mountain meditating and perceiving natural energy. The natural energy of Mount Myaboku is huge. Even if Naruto does not know Revolving Heaven, he can still perceive natural energy. The natural energy of the outside world is thin, but Hinata has the Revolving Heaven technique, which can release chakra through the acupoints of the whole body and perceive natural energy of the outside world. But the two have one thing in common, and that is meditation. Hinata usually likes to let his imagination run wild, especially with such a big imagination just now. He is so excited that he can't calm down at all. Exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale. Hinata can only force himself to calm down. Today's imagination is really amazing. Chapter 84. It's so hard. Hinata controlled the chakra to flow out of his body slowly, sensing everything around him. But after half a day, other than the chakra's exhaustion, Hinata could not even feel the shadow of natural energy. Could it be that I'm wearing too much? Or do I have to go to the wild to feel natural energy? Hinata quickly found the key point of the problem. The natural energy outside the 3 holy lands was very thin, and there were many people in the village. If they wanted to cultivate natural energy, they had to go to the wild places in nature. And they couldn't wear too many clothes. When Naruto was cultivating, he seemed to be bare-chested. Exposed outdoors. Hinata quickly shook his head to get rid of the shameful thoughts in his little head. I'm doing this for the sake of becoming stronger, not for the sake of excitement. Hinata quickly convinced himself and sneaked away from the Hyuga family. He walked to the top of Naruto and looked around. Hey! Isn't that teacher Irika? Hinata looked into the distance and saw Irika with a class of children on the top of Naruto, pointing to the Naruto behind him and saying something. It was probably a story in the style of the Naruto. After a while, the 3 generations also walked to the top of Naruto. Irika was originally bragging, but when he saw the 3 generations, he scratched his head awkwardly and said with a silly smile, Lord Naruto, why are you here? The 3 generations' eyes were sad, but there was a kind smile on his face. I kind of want to see my face. As he said that, the 3 generations turned to look in the direction of the Naruto, but found that there was a little person sitting on top of his head. Irika also turned to look and wondered, isn't that Hinata? What is she doing there? Hinata didn't realize that she was sitting on top of the head of the 3 generations Yen. Seeing the people on the top of Naruto looking over, Hinata enthusiastically waved his hand. Hinata shouted, Hey! Can you see me? The Three Generations. The Three Generations came up this time because he had received the news about Orochimaru, and he was a little sad. Today, except for the two Sannin like Orochimaru, no one in Shinobu can compete with Orochimaru. The Three Generations has made the final preparations, so he wanted to see his yen before the war to recall the past and his time as the Naruto. At the same time, he also brainwashed the freshmen of Ninja Academy. But now, seeing someone sitting on top of his head, the Three Generations didn't have any mood. Looking at the group of people below who were in class, and no one paid attention to him, Hinata felt a little bored. Cultivation is more important. Although Hinata is a little lazy, he just came up with a new idea, and the excitement hasn't passed yet. Coming to the river behind the mountain, Hinata squatted down and touched the water in the river. It was cold and comfortable. Let's cultivate here. Hinata reached out and was about to take off his shirt. Just a little bit, Hinata's movements suddenly stiffened. Something is wrong. Be a Kugan. Go to hell. Hinata was ashamed and angry, and he started with 4 twos and 2 kings. 20 gods air strike plus 8 trigrams mountain strike. 5 chakra rays shot straight out, and the roar was endless. In the smoke and dust of the explosion, there were faint screams of human beings. After a while, when the smoke and dust dissipated, an old man wearing a red shirt with white hair to his waist rolled out of the bushes. Little girl, are you trying to kill someone? Really, you don't know how to respect the elderly at all. Hinata could clearly see that the amount of chakra in this person's body was as vast as the ocean. Moreover, Hinata had attacked in anger. Facing his ultimate move, even Kakashi would have hit GG if he wasn't careful. But this perverted old man in front of him was only a little embarrassed. It was indeed Jiraiya, and Naruto was also within the range of Hinata's Byakugan. Hinata angrily rebuked, "You were peeping just now, right?" In his previous life, when he was reading Naruto comics, Hinata felt that Jiraiya was quite interesting. But when it was his turn to be peeped, Hinata had the urge to kill. Wait. This person in front of me is an expert. Hinata's heart moved. Since he had encountered this person, he definitely couldn't miss it. Jiraiya said righteously, "What do you mean by peeping? Don't make it sound so bad. I'm just collecting material for my novel." After saying that, Jiraiya even prepared to take out Intimate Paradise to prove his point. Hinata didn't care so much and roared, "Go to hell." His hands quickly formed Chakra Fist and swung it towards Jiraiya. Just from the exchange of blows, Jiraiya's heart was quite shocked. What an amazing little girl. This strength is simply not something that someone of her age can have. Jiraiya didn't believe in the concept of geniuses and last place. When he was young, he was last place. But now, he was confident that his strength was not inferior to the so-called genius Orochimaru. But Jiraiya also has to admit that geniuses really do exist. On the road to the peak of ninja, geniuses will walk faster, and the last place will walk slower. But at the end, the strength of the two is indeed the same. Of course, this so-called end is only the end of ordinary ninja. Many people in the ninja world will stagnate after their strength reaches a certain level. That's because they don't have a higher level of cultivation method. And what Orochimaru wants to pursue is the way to reach a higher level. In the distance, Naruto heard the explosion and hurriedly ran over. Hinata, lascivious immortal. Why are the two of you fighting? Seeing Naruto coming over, Hinata also didn't continue to fight with Jiraiya. After the last blow, Hinata quickly retreated a distance. Naruto, how do you know this old pervert? Hinata said aggressively, "You will learn bad things if you stay with this old pervert." Naruto scratched his head awkwardly and said naively, "Don't say that. Although lascivious immortal is very lecherous, his strength is still very powerful." Seeing this, Hinata didn't say much. For Naruto, Jiraiya was no different from an old grandpa who helped him cheat. Naruto asked, "By the way, Hinata, what are you doing here?" Hinata curled his lips and snorted, "Cultivating. Cultivating." Naruto seemed to have heard some shocking news and said in surprise, Hinata, didn't you say that you can become strong while lying down? Why are you here to cultivate? Hinata said mysteriously, Is it because I found a new cultivation method? You found a new cultivation method? Naruto came over and asked curiously, Hinata, can you tell me what cultivation method it is? Jiraiya was also very curious when he heard this. He was quite familiar with the gentle fist of the Hyuga family. When he first saw Hinata, he thought that Hinata wanted to take a bath in the river. He didn't expect Hinata to be here to cultivate. What kind of cultivation method was it that he had to take off his clothes before cultivating? Jiraiya was very curious. Maybe he could teach Tsunade in the future. Chapter 85. Since Jiraiya was watching from the side, Hinata naturally had to introduce his own cultivation method in detail. Let Jiraiya help to judge whether it was feasible. Jiraiya can be said to be the only strong person in the shinobi world who can open Sage Mode. With just a few words from him, Hinata may benefit a lot. In case Jiraiya thinks that he is very cute and accepts him as a disciple, that would be the best. Our Hyuga family's gentle fist can control the flow of chakra, and revolving heaven can release chakra through the whole body. You should know this, right? Naruto nodded again and again. He has teamed up with Hinata for so long, of course he knows Hinata's moves. Hinata continued, Once when I was practicing revolving heaven, I found that there is a kind of energy in nature. Energy? Naruto was a bit confused. There is still energy in nature? Hinata glanced at Jiraiya, and then mysteriously whispered to Naruto, So I was thinking, if I can control the flow of chakra through the acupoints of the whole body, can I perceive this kind of energy and use it? Jiraiya's ears were about to stand up. When he heard Hinata say that he perceived natural energy, he was shocked. Sage Mode. As the only living sage in the shinobi world, Jiraiya knows the power of Sage Mode, and he also knows the difficulty of practicing Sage Mode. If you want to practice Sage Mode, you must first find a place with a huge amount of natural energy. But this is far from enough. When Jiraiya practiced Sage Mode, he used toad oil to introduce natural energy into his body, and combined it with his spiritual energy and physical energy to form the Sage Mode chakra. This step is about control. After control, perception. Try to use your own power to enter Sage Mode. But this little girl in front of him can perceive the existence of natural energy in the outside world? What kind of joke was this? Jiraiya couldn't believe what he was hearing, but he had no choice but to believe it. If Hinata had not sensed the natural energy, how could he have proposed such a cultivation method? Jiraiya carefully considered Hinata's cultivation method in his mind. Supercilious Eye, Gentle Fist, Revolving Heaven, and other moves were originally used against enemies. But if it was used for cultivation, if one could really sense the natural energy, they could indeed use this method to cultivate Immortal Mode. What a genius little girl! Moreover, with the amount of chakra she has now, she is indeed qualified to cultivate immortal techniques. Thinking of this, Jiraiya was about to say something, but he heard Hinata ask, Naruto, you have been following the old pervert for so many days. What have you learned? Upon hearing this, Naruto excitedly introduced, This is the art of psychic communication. Hinata, watch carefully. As soon as he finished speaking, Naruto began to form seals and pressed one hand on the ground. Boom! A cloud of smoke dissipated, and a tadpole with hind legs appeared on the ground. Naruto was a little complacent and flaunted, Hinata, did you see that? It has already grown hind legs. I will be able to summon a real toad very soon. Hinata curled her lips and said disdainfully, Toads are very ugly. Jiraiya was unconvinced and said, What does this little girl know? Although toads are not very good-looking, they are very strong. Hinata sneered and said, What's the use of being strong? Being handsome is a matter of life. No girl will like you like this. Jiraiya awkwardly froze on the spot. Hinata's words had ruthlessly pierced the depths of his fragile heart, and his whole body was shrouded in a layer of low pressure. All right. I am going to start cultivating. Naruto, go away. After saying this, Hinata sat cross-legged by the river. He did not dare to take off his clothes. After all, He was using his own chakra to sense things. Taking off his clothes should not be a big problem. Jiraiya looked at Hinata with a serious expression. He also wanted to see if Hinata could sense the natural energy in the outside world. Being in nature was indeed much better than being at home. Although there were two extremely annoying men standing beside him, as long as he did not think about them, Hinata could still feel peace in his heart. And the environment seemed to have changed a little. Chakra slowly flowed out from the acupoints all over his body. Hinata controlled the chakra to hover around his body, condensing and not dissipating. Occasionally, it would dissipate a little, trying to see if he could sense the natural energy in the outside world. Jiraiya's perception was very strong. In the natural world, there was naturally natural energy. The key was perception. Cultivating in Mount Mayaboku was passive perception. But in the outside world, cultivating like Hinata was actively perceiving, using his chakra to sense the natural energy. Seeing that Hinata had been sitting cross-legged for a long time, Naruto was just about to speak when Jiraiya suddenly put his hand on Naruto's shoulder, stopping Naruto. Jiraiya shook his head slightly and pointed to the distance, hinting Naruto to get lost. Naruto puffed up his face and left in a huff, going to cultivate alone. Jiraiya did not move. His whole body was quiet as if he did not exist. He did not know if Hinata's cultivation method could allow him to sense the natural energy, but he knew that once Hinata absorbed the natural energy into his body, it would be extremely dangerous. Jiraiya had already cultivated the immortal mode. He could disperse the natural energy in Hinata's body when Hinata was in danger. Time slowly passed. When Hinata really calmed down, a seemingly weak but extremely vast natural energy appeared in Hinata's mind. It was like oxygen in the air. It was very small in one place, but it was everywhere in the whole world. Hinata sensed it for a while and felt that he could stabilize his current state. Hinata began to try to absorb the natural energy into his body. Jiraiya was shocked. Hinata actually managed to sense the natural energy through his own method. Supercilious eyes for observation. Years of cultivating the gentle fist allowed Hinata to control the flow of every strand of chakra. The cultivation of revolving heaven allowed Hinata to control the acupoints all over his body. By using the chakra to sense, as long as one's mind was calm enough, one could indeed sense the insignificant natural energy in the natural world. Of course, this required extremely strong talent. The next important thing was to control it. Controlling the natural energy was the most dangerous part of cultivating immortal techniques. If one succeeded, they would be able to master a powerful immortal technique. If one failed, only death awaited. Jiraiya was ready. Once Hinata was in danger, he could immediately disperse the natural energy in Hinata's body. Jiraiya said in his heart, "Please don't absorb too much, please don't absorb too much." Hinata was not a fool. In his previous life, Hinata had seen the process of Naruto cultivating immortal techniques several times. Hinata carefully controlled the chakra in his body and lured the natural energy into his body. "Good babies, quickly come to sister. Sister will give you sweets to eat." Chapter 86. Hinata slowly got up, lowered his head, and looked at his hands in a daze. Jiraiya was also in a daze. He, who prided himself on being knowledgeable, could not understand what had happened to Hinata's body. The scene returned to a minute ago. The immortal technique chakra was a new type of chakra formed from the combination of spiritual energy, physical energy, and natural energy. In Hinata's classification of chakra, the immortal technique chakra was ranked second among all the energy levels, second only to the 6th Tao chakra. The reason was that ordinary chakra could hurt the immortal mode, but it could not hurt the 6th Tao mode. The way Hinata cultivated the immortal technique was very different from the way the three holy lands cultivated it. Hinata's chakra flowed out of his body's acupoints to sense the natural energy. When Hinata's chakra sensed the natural energy, the chakra that flowed out of Hinata's body naturally absorbed the natural energy and evolved into the immortal technique chakra. The main point. Hinata's chakra evolved into the immortal technique chakra outside his body before being absorbed into Hinata's body. Hinata knew that to cultivate the immortal technique, he had to maintain the balance of the three types of energy. Therefore, in the process of absorbing the natural energy into his body, Hinata had been working hard to maintain the balance of the three types of energy. Hinata could feel that the chakra in his body was incompatible with his chakra. If not for Hinata's efforts to maintain the balance, the two types of chakra would have already clashed. This was also the reason why Jiraiya was dumbfounded. Hinata's first time cultivating the immortal technique seemed to have some results. However, Hinata's face did not show any signs of immortal mode. It seemed like he had failed. After carefully sensing for a moment, Hinata suddenly threw an empty palm at a huge rock 5 meters away. Boom! The boulder instantly exploded, and in the process of flying backward, the boulder shattered into small pieces of stone. The power of ninjutsu has been significantly improved, but Hinata didn't feel the increase in all attributes like in Sage mode. Jiraiya's eyes flickered. Hinata's move indeed had the power of an immortal technique. However, although Hinata had just absorbed the natural energy, he did not enter Sage mode. Even without entering immortal mode, he could still use immortal techniques. This meant that Hinata's control over chakra was extremely shocking. Hinata first fused the immortal technique chakra outside his body. Then, he absorbed the immortal technique chakra into his body and controlled it firmly. Then, he struck out with his palm. After understanding Hinata's current situation, Jiraiya's bad habit of being a teacher came up. Jiraiya sized up Hinata. She really is a girl with a lot of potential. He had to restore his perfect image in the hearts of cute girls. Cough cough. Jiraiya coughed lightly. His whole body was emitting the aura of a Taoist master. His expression was serious as he said, "Young girl, it seems that your control over natural energy has reached the point where you can freely control it. This energy is called the immortal technique chakra by me. Once successfully cultivated, it can greatly improve the various abilities of the body." Hinata looked at Jiraiya with a serious expression and humbly asked, Senjutsu chakra, how do I practice Senjutsu chakra? Jiraiya's expression suddenly changed. He said in an extremely vulgar manner, since this energy is called natural energy, then to control it, you must first be closer to nature. Actually, your initial idea was very good. When I was cultivating immortal techniques, I wasn't wearing anything. Go to hell. Hinata angrily attacked and sent Jiraiya flying with an empty palm. Jiraiya was sent flying and rolled a few times on the ground. He struggled to get up and patted the dust off his body. There were no signs of injury at all. Hinata, Jiraiya was actually so resistant to beatings. It was all Tsunade's fault. He had trained Jiraiya to be so strong with the monstrous strength fist. Where did Shinobu's bad habit start? It was the 3 generations. Indeed, if the upper beam was not straight, the lower beam would be crooked. Since the 3 generations, Naruto had inherited the perverted nature of peeping, reading pornography, and seduction techniques. Shinobu was hopeless. Although Jiraiya was beaten up, he was the kind of person who would die under a peony flower. Not only did he not seem to mind, he even continued to teach. Controlling natural energy is extremely dangerous, young girl. Although you can fuse chakra outside your body, once you absorb it into your body, it will cause an imbalance between the 3 types of energy. You should have already felt the danger of energy imbalance when you were cultivating. Hinata asked seriously, Senior, what should I do? Jiraiya said, there is no shortcut to cultivating immortal techniques. You can only experiment again and again. You can already fuse chakra outside your body. When your body is familiar with natural energy, you can try to absorb it directly into your body and fuse chakra inside your body. Hinata nodded. In fact, Hinata had the same idea at the beginning. Jiraiya continued, however, fusing chakra inside your body is an extremely dangerous process. If you are not careful, you may be assimilated by natural energy. At this point, Jiraiya suddenly became wretched. Therefore, when you are cultivating immortal techniques, it is best if you have a powerful senior who is proficient in immortal techniques by your side to guide you. Cough cough. Jiraiya coughed lightly, continuously hinting to Hinata that the powerful senior who was proficient in immortal techniques was far away on the horizon, but close at hand. Hinata was silent. Although cultivating immortal techniques was very important, but in order to cultivate immortal techniques, did I have to sell my body? Especially when this person was already old and not handsome. Of course, even if Jiraiya was shockingly handsome, Hinata would definitely not be so shameless. If it was Tsunade, it would be fine. Hinata's heart suddenly moved. Since he had already sensed the existence of natural energy, the next step of cultivation was to constantly familiarize himself with this feeling, turning the perception of natural energy into an instinct of his body. Hinata was fusing chakra outside his body. Therefore, there was one move that could be used to great effect. 20 Gods Void Strike. Hinata clenched his fists, and an azure-blue chakra fist appeared. Under the vision of Byakugan, the meridians and acupoints within chakra fist could be clearly seen. Hinata first stabilized the chakra within chakra fist, then absorbed the natural energy and fused it into chakra fist. Thus, the immortal technique chakra fist was born. Jiraiya could be said to have personally witnessed the entire process of Hinata cultivating immortal techniques. Hinata first sensed the existence of natural energy in the outside world, where it was thin. Then, using the heaven reversal technique and the fine control of chakra, he fused chakra outside his body and absorbed it into his body. Originally, this was not a big deal. After all, the three types of energy in his body were not balanced, and Hinata was still unable to enter immortal mode. Moreover, this method of Hinata's could not be used in actual combat. But what was up with this chakra fist? Jiraiya. WOC. Did I encounter a bug today? Chapter 87. As we all know, absorbing natural energy requires a state of extreme stillness. Jiraiya fights in Sage mode and needs the assistance of 2 Sage Toads. And Naruto fights in Sage mode and needs the help of Shadow Clone to absorb natural energy. However, for Hinata, Hinata's chakra fist is in a state of extreme stillness. This is like after Uchiha Madara absorbed the first Senjutsu chakra, he used the first Senjutsu in his body to control chakra. Compared to Uchiha Madara's movement, the first Senjutsu in his body is in a state of stillness. Originally, in Jiraiya's view, although Hinata has touched natural energy and used a unique method to condense the Senjutsu chakra, but Hinata can't apply it in battle. In battle, the enemy will not give Hinata time to condense the Senjutsu chakra. And Hinata spent a lot of time condensing the Senjutsu chakra, only enough for one move. But now it's completely different. With the help of Chakra Fist, Hinata relied on his own strength to form 2 completely different states of motion and stillness. Compared to Hinata's movement, Chakra Fist is in a state of stillness. Motion and stillness have always been relative, not absolute. With Jiraiya's eyesight, he can naturally see that Hinata's method of mastering the Senjutsu chakra is not something that everyone can practice. The special physique of the Hyuga clan, the super insight of the Byakugan, the technique of using the revolving heaven and gentle fist, and the extraordinary control of chakra. None of these 4 points can be missing. Jiraiya hadn't noticed it before, but now that he was observing Hinata's chakra fist closely, he suddenly realized that Hinata had already condensed the meridians and acupoints of the human body within the chakra fist. This meant that Hinata could now use the immortal technique chakra in battle. Although Hinata didn't have the Senjutsu chakra to increase the attributes of the human body at this moment, in Jiraiya's view, Hinata wasn't far from that day. As long as Hinata could multitask, he would be able to maintain Chakra's fist while cultivating the immortal technique at the same time. Once there was an imbalance between the 3 types of energy in his body, he would immediately use the immortal technique Chakra's fist to break it. As such, it was only a matter of time before Hinata entered the true immortal mode. Of course, compared to maintaining the immortal technique Chakra's fist, multitasking was even more difficult. But Hinata's future path was already clear. Once Hinata could enter the immortal mode, he could use the relatively static Chakra's fist to continuously provide him with natural energy. This combination of movement and stillness really made people envious. Jiraiya bit his finger. Spirit summoning technique. Hinata looked at Jiraiya in a daze. What are you doing, a duel? Boom. The two Toad immortals, Fukasaku and Shima, were summoned by Jiraiya. The two toads were still in a daze as they looked around. Shima said with dissatisfaction, "Little Jiraiya, why did you summon us? There doesn't seem to be any enemies." Fukasaku immediately noticed Hinata and said with a shocked tone, "My child's mother, look." Jiraiya laughed and said, "This time, I summoned the two immortals to let you see. Does this kind of bug really exist?" Jiraiya had already started to doubt his life. He was already 50 years old this year and couldn't take such a big shock. Shima looked at Hinata and said in a daze, There's actually someone who can cultivate immortal techniques outside the three holy lands." Jiraiya, Naruto, and Apothecary's Pocket all cultivated immortal techniques in the three holy lands. They had the special symbol of Mount Mayaboku and Ryuchi Cave. This was because it was very difficult for humans to sense natural energy. They had to use items like toad oil to help them sense the existence of natural energy. But Hinata was different. Hinata cultivated immortal techniques in the outside world and didn't have the symbol of a snake or a toad. Of course, Hinata's two chakras fist couldn't prove anything for the time being. But this was already very shocking. Fukasaku looked deeply at Hinata and asked, "Little girl, can you tell us the process of cultivating immortal techniques?" Facing two old toad immortals, Hinata didn't dare to be too arrogant. Moreover, Hinata also had some questions about cultivation that he wanted to ask. After hearing Hinata's explanation, Fukasaku and Shima looked at each other and disappeared at the same time. Disappeared, Hinata. Listening to the play and not paying, this is too much of a scam. But now that there was no one to disturb him, Hinata also wanted to try out the power of immortal techniques. He glanced at Jiraiya. Jiraiya seemed to have sensed something and quickly retreated behind a big tree and carefully hid, only revealing half of his head to observe Hinata. Taking a deep breath, Hinata jumped into the air and used the 20 Gods empty strike state to launch 10 palm strikes. Boom boom boom, although it was just an ordinary palm strike, but this power is not weaker than the normal mountain break. Of course, after this move, Hinata's chakra fist has also dissipated. So powerful. Although there is no sage mode to increase the attributes of the body, but with this move, few people in the entire ninja world can withstand it. If he used the Senjutsu chakra fist and used the mountain breaker, he can use my love to try it. Huff. Letting out a breath, Hinata's eyes curved, revealing a smiling expression, and waved to Jiraiya and said, "Lecherous sage, I'm going home. Bye-bye, see you next time." After mastering Senjutsu chakra, Hinata returned home with satisfaction. Bang! Pushing open the door of Hyogo's study, Hinata walked in, ignoring Hyogo's surprised eyes, and said proudly, "Father Sama, come and worship me as your teacher. I want to teach you a powerful ninjutsu." Hyogo. Because of his understanding of his daughter, Hyogo knew very well that Hinata has enough confidence to defeat him. Yes. Only when Hinata has enough confidence to defeat Hyogo will she change from a good girl to a little witch. Did she master that ninjutsu? It's only been a few hours. Even if Hinata's talent is amazing, it can't be so fast. Hyogo slowly got up. He decided not to answer Hinata's words. After all, it is a bit embarrassing. He wants to see what kind of unique skill Hinata has mastered, and then decide whether to beat Hinata or not. Although this kind of idea is also a bit embarrassing, at least this kind of idea is something that only Hyogo himself knows. And silently buried in the heart is good. "Come with me," Hyogo said lightly, and then walked outside. Hinata hurriedly followed him. This direction. It seems to be the back mountain of Shinobu. So, I just came home, and I have to come here again. Chapter 88. In an open space behind Shinobu's mountain, Hinata and Hyogo stood facing each other 5 meters apart. Hyogo tried his best to maintain the dignity of a father. His expression was solemn and indifferent. He looked at Hinata with eyes full of love and gratification. Seeing this, Hinata's expression also began to become serious. Maybe it was because of the power that Hyogo had accumulated in Hinata's heart over the years. As long as he kept a straight face, Hinata's heart would always feel a little uncomfortable. Hyogo was very satisfied with Hinata's performance. It seems that I still have some place in Hinata's heart. But Hyogo wanted to personally test the power of Hinata's new ninjutsu. Unfortunately, he didn't dare. He was afraid of being beaten to death. Hyogo said lightly, "Let's begin." "Okay." Hinata nodded seriously. Byakugan. Activating Byakugan, Hinata clenched his fists and condensed a blue chakra fist. Then he began to integrate natural energy into chakra fist to maintain a balance between the three types of energy. At this moment, it was actually very easy for Hinata to condense chakra outside his body. After all, with the help of Byakugan, he could see the ratio of the three types of energy. But it was much more difficult to condense chakra inside his body. After all, without a bug-level item like toad oil, Hinata's body was still somewhat repulsed by natural energy. If he wanted to enter Sage mode, he would need to train a little bit more. Chakra was the product of the combination of spiritual energy and physical energy. The so-called Kekkei Genkai was a mutation in the spiritual energy or the body, making one's own energy different from normal people's energy. Conversely, when chakra mutated, it could affect the body or spiritual energy to mutate. This was the Kekkei Genkai that was acquired through training. When chakra mutates, it will affect the body, and this mutation can be passed down to the next generation through the bloodline. Based on this, if a ninja wants to enter Sage mode, he must first let nature energy change his body little by little, let the body adapt to nature energy, and then condense the Senjutsu chakra in the body. Hinata didn't have any toad oil, so he could only rely on the accumulation of time. Hyogo glanced at Hinata's chakra fist. It didn't seem any different from before. What about the new ninjutsu? Supercilious. Hyogo activated Byakugan and finally discovered the abnormal changes in Chakra's fist. It was a new type of chakra that was different from Hinata's own chakra. Hyuga Hayashi asked with a surprised expression, "This is..." Hinata's face was slightly smug, and he asked somewhat maliciously, "Father, do you want to try?" "It's just an ordinary exchange of blows." Hyogo's face stiffened. Should I agree or not? For the sake of father's face, Hyogo nodded slightly. "Come on." Hinata's feet moved, and the sandbag-like chakra fist quickly rushed towards Hyogo. Hyogo's expression relaxed a little. Although Hinata's speed is very fast, but this move is very big, he can easily block it. So Hyogo condensed chakra and used an ordinary soft punch to block Hinata's chakra fist. Of course, he used all his strength. Boom! The palm and chakra fist collided, and Hyogo flew out, his body hit a tree, and in an instant, the tree was broken in half. "The trees in the ninja world are really pitiful," Hinata murmured, and then dispersed chakra fist, quickly ran to Hyogo's side, and asked with concern, "Father, are you okay?" The difference in energy level was reflected in an instant. Hyogo's chakra can't hurt the six-path mode, but chakra can. This is a qualitative change of chakra. Different from the qualitative change of the 5 elements, this is the most fundamental change of chakra. Cough, cough. Hyogo coughed out a mouthful of blood. His appearance at the moment is really miserable. After being helped up by Hinata, Hyogo looked at Hinata with a dignified expression, and said in shock, "What is this move called?" Hinata thought for a while, and said seriously, "Well, let's call it 40 God's Air Attack." And Hinata suddenly thought of his move, Heaven Reversal Bomb. It seems that it can come in handy. First, a shadow clone, and then the main body will throw the shadow clone out, and when the shadow clone uses the Heaven Reversal Bomb, if it can also use natural energy, then it will be a real bomb. And it can also produce a rotational lethality. After a while, Hayashi felt a little better. He looked at Hinata and asked again, "What's going on with this technique?" Hinata explained his idea and practice method. Of course, Jiraiya's guidance to him, and the 2 toads of Mount Mayaboku also played a very important role. It's actually Jiraiya-sama, Hyogo was shocked in his heart. For Jiraiya-sama to return to the village at this time, it seems that Orochimaru is indeed going to make a move. Temporarily putting aside the matters in the village, Hyogo asked again. So, if I want to learn this move, I must first learn the 20 Gods air attack? Hayashi suddenly felt that his future path had brightened up in an instant. His strength has not improved for a long time. But the immortal mode, mentioned by Hinata and Jiraiya, has undoubtedly pointed him in a new direction. Although it is very difficult to cultivate the immortal mode, if he can use the immortal technique chakra like Hinata, his strength will also increase greatly. Confirming the shadow level. My future is not a dream. That, Hinata scratched his head, and said somewhat awkwardly, although the lecherous immortal has his own methods, I only know this one method. Hyogo nodded. In his heart, he was very clear that Jiraiya would not teach the spirit communication technique of Mount Mayaboku to the Hyuga family. But Hinata's cultivation method is very suitable for the Hyuga family. Although it is also very difficult to successfully cultivate, it is a feasible path. Hyogo pondered for a moment, and said to Hinata, Hinata, you're 20. It's the 40 Gods air attack. Hinata said expressionlessly, this is the advanced version of the 20 Gods air attack. Okay. Hyogo said seriously, your 40 Gods air attack is a secret technique of our main family, so you can't teach it to outsiders. Hinata nodded, and then asked, then what about brother Ningji? Although all the branch families were separated from the main family, Ningji's branch family was still very close to Hinata. Hyogo pondered for a moment, and then said lightly, okay, but only limited to Ningji. And there are some things that you have to make clear to him. Hinata nodded and smiled. Don't worry. I know what I'm doing. Chapter 89. On the morning of August 6th, the rising sun was already a little bit hot. Since yesterday, nobles and rich businessmen from all over the world have gathered in Shinobu. In order to show off, these people spend a lot of money, regardless of the fact that Konoha's prices are much higher than the outside world, which made Hinata very envious. Seriously speaking, the prices in Shinobu are really much higher than the outside world. This is the gathering place of ninjas, and it can be said that it is the safest place in the whole ninja world. Since the establishment of Shinobu, only the Nine Tails attack on the village caused a huge loss to Shinobu. But that was 12 years ago. But today, in the venue, Hinata and the others stood in a line. Hinata looked around. After today's Shinobu collapse plan, the prices in Shinobu may drop a lot. Should he take the opportunity to speculate? After thinking about it seriously, Hinata decided to forget about it for the time being. It's not too late to speculate after Pain's attack on Shinobu is over. Maybe in the future, he can cooperate with Yamato to develop the real estate business in the ninja world. Yamato will provide the technology, Hinata will provide the money. Naruto looked around and didn't find Sasuke's figure, and complained in a low mood, "What's going on, why hasn't Sasuke come yet?" Hinata casually responded, "Maybe he went somewhere with Kakashi, sensei to have fun." Black Flame Ganma stood in front of Hinata and the others, and cold sweat dripped from his forehead. "Kakashi, if you don't come back, your reputation in Shinobu will be ruined. Your disciple is talking about you behind your back, do you know that? Stand up, you guys. The game is about to start, so face the audience well." With a senbon in his mouth, Ganma said with some cynicism, "The protagonists of this game are you." With the arrival of the Kazekage, the game officially began. Don't Know Fire Ganma took out the battle list and showed it to everyone. It was no different from the last draw. Hinata against Naruto, Shikamaru against Han Bao, Sasuke against My Love, and Niji against Ding Ji. The winner would advance to the next round, and the loser would be eliminated. As soon as he saw the list, Naruto felt a bit of a stomachache. With a bitter face, he begged Hinata, "Hinata, can you not hit my stomach later, and also my kidneys, please?" Hinata pondered for a moment, then patted Naruto's shoulder and comforted, "Don't worry. We've both grown up a lot after graduation, and I'm not a child anymore. I'll give you some face." Naruto was silent for a moment. Suddenly, he asked worriedly, "Hinata, are you full this morning?" Hinata originally thought that Naruto was going to buy him off with a big meal, but Naruto suddenly said, "Hinata, do you remember when you were in school, when you beat Sasuke the most? Hinata shook his head. It was too many times, and he forgot. Naruto said seriously, imitating Hinata's tone at that time, Sasuke, come out. I'm full, and now I'm going to beat you to help with digestion. As soon as Naruto's voice fell, everyone around, including my love and Gunma, unconsciously took a few steps away from Hinata. In the ninja world, there were many reasons to fight and kill, but this was the first time they heard of a reason like, I'm full, and now I'm going to beat you to help with digestion. Hand Bao and my love looked at each other. This time, Shinobu really opened their eyes. Hinata looked at Naruto with a smile and said softly, don't worry. I'll be gentle, and you won't feel pain. Gunma roughly introduced the rules of the third test, which was no different from the qualifiers. Either die, admit defeat, or be stopped by the referee. The first round is Hinata versus Uzumaki Naruto. You two stay, and the rest please go to the lounge in the venue to watch. Hinata and Naruto stayed, and the others returned to the lounge. In the audience, Hyogo also came to watch the game with Hua Hua. Although in Hyogo's view, the result of this game will not have any accidents, but for Hua Hua, it is also a rare learning opportunity. Hyogo sat up straight, looked around, and then said lightly, Hua Hua, your sister is the most perfect inheritor of the Hyuga family, so watch carefully. Hua Hua was 7 years old this year, and under the influence of Hyogo, she was like a little adult, nodding expressionlessly, and said lightly, Yes, Father Sama. Only when she went to Hinata's room to sleep at night, would Hua Hua be cute like a little girl. Outside the field, Hinata and Naruto stood facing each other. The official game was about to start, and Naruto no longer played tricks, and said seriously, Hinata, I didn't expect that we would be the first to fight. For the past month, I have been working very hard on my cultivation. Hinata, you have to be careful. Don't lose to me accidentally, and then hide and cry by yourself. Hinata pursed his lips, and said provocatively, I'm not as hard-working as you. Genius. I hope you can use the word genius to erase all my hard work. I am someone who can become strong just by lying down. Seeing that Hinata and Naruto were ready for battle, my Gunma did not delay, and waved his hand violently. The first round of the game. Begin. Naruto knew Hinata's moves, and it was impossible to beat Hinata with just physical skills. As soon as my Gunma finished speaking, Naruto wanted to form a seal. However, Hinata's movements were faster than Naruto's. Before Naruto could form a clone, Hinata's figure was already in front of Naruto. 8 trigrams. 64 palms. Bam, bam, bam. Hinata first injured Naruto with gentle punches, and then switched to the technique of sealing acupoints, sealing most of Naruto's acupoints in an instant. After the last palm strike, Naruto's figure flew out pathetically, coughing up blood, and fell to the ground far away. When fighting with an unkillable cockroach like Naruto, one must not waste one's energy. Instead, one must hit him hard from the beginning, so that he could not get up again. Of course, the most important thing was that one must not provoke him with words. This was because if one provoked him, he might explode. The audience in the auditorium looked at the scene in front of them in a daze. The whole place was silent, as if they could not believe that the first round of the game was over so quickly. I want a refund. Damn it. This is a huge loss, and it is not worth the ticket price at all. Hinata said with a smile, Naruto, I'm sorry. It seems that I have won. Naruto gritted his teeth, trying to stand up. However, his internal organs were injured, and most of his acupoints were sealed. He could not even get up, let alone condensing chakra. Chapter 90. Sure enough, in the audience, Hua Hua looked at the result of the battle that was expected, and her face showed a proud expression. Sister is really amazing. Handsome and gentle. Thinking about it, Hua Hua's face showed a blush. She glanced at Hyogo and saw that his attention was not on her. Hua Hua was relieved and returned to her previous expressionless face in the blink of an eye. It was obvious that this was a match with a great disparity in strength. But Naruto was not willing to lose here without any power to fight back. At least, he wanted to make Hinata show some real ability. He wanted to have a serious fight with him. It's not over yet. Naruto struggled to stand up. His whole body was trembling as if he could fall at the next moment. Hinata also showed a surprised expression. In order to win quickly, Hinata was much more ruthless than Neji in the original work. Even if Nine Tails' recovery was amazing, Naruto could not stand up so quickly. Unless Naruto stood up with his will. Hinata stood in the distance and did not dare to speak loudly. He was afraid that his words would provoke Naruto and make Naruto explode Nine Tails. Naruto gritted his teeth. Although it was not over yet, he could not feel a bit of chakra at the moment. It was as if he had used up all of his chakra during cultivation. His body was painful and weak. That's right. Naruto's eyes suddenly lit up. He remembered that Jiraiya once said that he seemed to have two kinds of chakra in his body. Yes. Nine Tails chakra, I'll use it. Naruto's expression instantly became firm. Then he closed his eyes and made a hand seal in front of his chest. Ha 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 ha, Hinata was stunned. No. I didn't say anything. I didn't even say anything to provoke Naruto. Why did he explode Nine Tails? Is it to beat me? Humph. Sure enough. Naruto is really narrow-minded and holds a grudge. In Hinata's Byakugan vision, Naruto's internal injuries instantly recovered. A surge of tyrannical chakra overflowed from Naruto's abdomen and quickly engulfed Naruto's body. The blood-red chakra was like nine tails circling around Naruto's body and then rolled towards Naruto's body. Naruto's whole body was wrapped in blood-red chakra, just like a Super Saiyan, but the ki on Naruto's body was red. Coincidentally, Naruto also has blonde hair. Hinata sucked in a breath of cold air. This kid was so terrifying. In the audience stands, Nine Tails' forehead. Hinata is in danger now that the Nine Tails has appeared. Hua turned to look at Hyogo and said with a worried expression, "Father, this is..." Hyogo was silent. He only hoped that the Nine Tails seal was still there and that Naruto could only use part of the Nine Tails chakra. Off the stage. Naruto roared, "I'm going up." Hinata couldn't help but facepalm. What the hell is going on? Hinata had cheated by drawing lot number 1 with the Byakugan. He just wanted to end the battle quickly and tell Hyogo that Orochimaru and Sand Hideout had formed an alliance to attack Shinobu. He wanted him to quickly return to the Hyuga family to prepare. As for whether he could become a Chunin or not, Hinata didn't care at all. When Tsunade returned to the village and became the 5th Naruto, Hinata only needed to bet a few rounds with Tsunade. Let alone a Chunin, he could at least win a Jonin. Really? Who would have nothing better to do than to come and fight Nine Tails one-on-one. However, Naruto didn't give Hinata a chance to hesitate at all. He jumped and quickly rushed towards Hinata. Hinata condensed chakra on the Byakugan and stared at Naruto's abdomen. I can only use that method. Even my daughter in the manga could hit Nine Tails. There's no reason why I can't do it. Of course, the reason why Sunflower could hit Nine Tails was because Naruto had already unlocked the Nine Tails seal at that time. Without the seal, Sunflower could naturally attack Nine Tails through Naruto. However, at this moment, Nine Tails seal was still there. With Hinata's current strength, it was absolutely impossible for him to hit Nine Tails through the 8 trigram seal. But that was only under normal circumstances. And the current situation was that Nine Tails ran out by himself. Since Nine Tails chakra could overflow through the seal, Hinata could find a loophole in the 8 trigram seal through the Nine Tails chakra and attack the Nine Tails in Naruto's body. There was only one chance. Maybe. There might be many more times. Even if he didn't hit, he could still beat Naruto with his immortal technique. Naruto was extremely fast. He was quickly approaching Hinata. Hinata, on the other hand, condensed chakra in his supercilious eyes, trying to find a loophole in the 8 trigram seal through the Nine Tails chakra. 5 meters. 3 meters. 1 meter. A blue light flashed in Hinata's pure white pupils. Seeing through the flaw in Naruto's movements, Hinata's figure flashed and pointed at Naruto's abdomen. In a dark sewer, Nine Tails bared his teeth and released a little of his chakra. Use it. Use it as you wish. When you get used to this feeling of power, you won't be able to reject me anymore. Through his chakra, Nine Tails could sense the situation outside. A little girl with supercilious eyes. What a pair of annoying eyes. In the depths of Nine Tails' memory, white eyes were more terrifying than Uchiha Spot's eternal kaleidoscope. Today, I'll let you experience the power of Lord Nine Tails. Nine Tails wanted to show off through Naruto's body, but he felt an extremely pure and high-grade chakra flowing through his chakra and quickly attacking him. Puffed. Nine Tails widened his eyes and stuck out his tongue. He felt a heavy blow on his abdomen, and his entire fox was in a bad state. In the outside world, Naruto's entire body was burning with red chakra as he pounced on Hinata. Under the influence of Nine Tails' chakra, his originally somewhat stupid face became slightly ferocious. At this moment, Hinata's thin and small figure looked extremely weak and pitiful. When the powerless finger pointed at Naruto's abdomen, everyone thought that it was Hinata's final stubbornness. However, Nine Tails' chakra instantly faded. He would return in the same way he came in the first place. Hinata opened his palm and gently patted Naruto's abdomen. Gentle fist technique. Kidney strike. Narrow-minded Naruto, you must be taught a lesson. You'll be single for the rest of your life. Awoo. Naruto instantly flew backward and lay on the ground clutching his stomach. He was in so much pain that he rolled on the ground and wailed. Hinata walked in front of Naruto and looked down at Naruto condescendingly. He gently blew on his fingers and sneered, Can Nine Tails kill people too? Speaking of which, in the original work, when the previous generations of Naruto were summoned by Orochimaru, when the first generation heard that the fourth generation died because he sealed Nine Tails, perhaps this was what he thought? Can Nine Tails kill people too? Little Hatchet is better off being a pet. Chapter 91. Many people who knew the power of Nine Tails were confused at this moment. What's going on? Nine Tails was beaten back? 3 generations Naruto, Orochimaru disguised as the 4th Kazekage, and Jiraiya hiding in the dark watching Naruto's battle. The 3 of them had extremely high eyesight and could naturally see that Hinata's move was not a seal. It was the most basic and simple gentle fist technique. Where did Hinata hit? How could she hit the Kyuubi back with one finger? Did he hit Nine Tails through the 8 trigram seal? The passage of 12 years made the 8 trigram seal left by Namake's Minato loosen. Since the Wave Country incident, Nine Tails' chakra appeared in Naruto's body more than once, and the flaws of the 8 trigram seal were getting bigger and bigger. If Hinata really followed the chakra of Nine Tails and found the flaws of the 8 trigram seal and attacked the Nine Tails in Naruto's body, then all of this could be explained. Explain fart. What kind of ninjutsu can beat Nine Tails in one move? They couldn't understand it for the time being. But now, at least 2 points can be proven. First, Hinata's Byakugan level is extremely high. Second, Hinata seems to have mastered a ninjutsu that can deal with Jinchuriki. Orochimaru trembled with excitement, and regardless of the 3 generations Naruto sitting next to him, he stuck out his tongue and licked around unconsciously. What a perfect experiment material. Coincidentally, Hinata also looked up at the audience and saw Orochimaru sticking out his tongue. Hinata stuck out his small tongue, loo. Ever since he learned immortal techniques, Hinata's ego had swelled tremendously. A few days ago, he beat up Hyogo, and today, he beat up Nine Tails. A mere Orochimaru was about to have his hands sealed by 3 generations. Come face to face if you have the ability. Orochimaru. WOC. Was I discovered by her again? Orochimaru was getting more and more interested in Hinata. What you can't get is always in turmoil. Hinata's Byakugan seems to have insight beyond ordinary Byakugan, and his own talent is extremely strong, and he has also mastered a special ninjutsu that can directly attack the tailed beast in the body of Jinchuriki. In an instant, the awe-inspiring Hinata received the attention of Shinobu and the other two Kage-tier experts. There was no need to consider the opinions of the 3 generations. After all, he would not live past today. Jiraiya, on the other hand, was more interested in Hinata. First of all, this figure had a lot of potential. Cough cough. This talent has a lot of potential. If Hinata really has the power to suppress tailed beasts, he can let Naruto master the power of 9 tails faster. If 9 tails dares to rebel, he can let Hinata scare him. The point is, since the 2 Sennin Fukasaku and Shima saw Hinata last time, Mount Mayaboku seemed to be in an uproar. No one told Jiraiya what happened, but Jiraiya obviously realized that Hinata was not simple. 9 Tails' chakra overflowed, not only cured Naruto's injury, but also opened up the sealed acupoints in Naruto's body. In other words, at this moment, Naruto was resurrected with full blood. Naruto held his stomach and howled for a moment, then stood up while enduring the pain. It seemed that there was no injury at all. Hinata was stunned. Someone is cheating here. Is there anyone who cares? Naruto laughed and said, "It's not over yet. Hinata, let's continue." Hinata. Naruto made a hand seal and shouted, "Multiple shadow clone technique." Hinata. After fighting wave after wave of shadow clones, Hinata finally found Naruto's body and KO'd Naruto with a move of 8 trigrams 64 palms. Overall, this battle lasted less than 5 minutes. At the beginning, Hinata KO'd Naruto with a move of 8 trigrams 64 palms. Then Naruto exploded with 9 tails, but was knocked back by Hinata's finger. Then Naruto was resurrected with full blood and was beaten up by Hinata. During the whole battle, Hinata's clothes did not even get dirty. But why do I feel so tired? Mentally tired. Although Naruto was beaten up badly, his face was full of smiles. Finally, he did not lose so badly. I've also finally become stronger. After checking Naruto's status, Mystical Flame Gunma announced, the winner of the first competition is Hinata. Hinata walked over to Naruto and pulled him up. He asked with concern, "Can you still walk on your own?" Naruto seemed to have understood something. His body suddenly became weak and he said weakly, "I can't walk anymore, I don't have any strength left." "Hinata, it's been hard on you, hee." Bam. This time, it was a steel fist, a punch to the face. Taking advantage of the situation, Hinata walked in front casually, while Naruto followed behind with a bruised face. He did not even dare to breathe loudly. When they reached the audience, Sakura and Ino turned their heads at the same time. "Congratulations, Hinata." Hinata's face was slightly red. He put his hands together and said weakly, "It's okay. The main thing is that Naruto is too weak. If my opponent was someone else, I might have been the one to lose." Naruto's face was bitter. He still felt a little pain in his kidney. And now, no one would believe him. Even the people from Sand Hideout did not believe him. "Who are you trying to impress? Are you lying to yourself?" Hinata was not thinking about this at the moment. Instead, he was thinking about how to make the source of the information about the Shinobu collapse plan reasonable and legal, and how to successfully convince Hyogo. According to the normal order of the competition, if Shikamaru admits defeat, then my next opponent will be Hand Bao. I'm so weak. If I go to my love's Sand Hideout to ask for information, it shouldn't attract attention, right? Thinking of this, Hinata hesitated and said shyly, I want to go to Sand Hideout to gather information. Is anyone willing to accompany me? I don't dare to go alone. Everyone was speechless. Hinata looked sad. He bit his lower lip and said sadly, "Since none of you are willing to accompany me, then I can only go alone. If I get killed by Sand Hideout's people, please don't avenge me." Ino got up helplessly and sighed. "I'll go with you." Looking at Shikamaru and Hand Bao who had already walked off the stage, Ino said worriedly, "Although it's a little late to gather information now, we can more or less understand Shikamaru's chances of winning. And Sasuke's opponent. is also very important. Sakura got up and said, I'll go too. Hinata took Sakura and Ino's hands and said with a smile, I know you guys are the best to me. Sand Hideout's people were in another lounge. At this moment, in addition to my love and Kankuro, Shinobu's Aburame Shino was also there. However, Kankuro and my love didn't seem to notice Shino. Kankuro looked at my love with a slightly worried expression and persuaded, My love, the plan hasn't started yet. Be patient for a while. Shino, plan. Chapter 92. Although Shinobu and Sand Hideout are allies, the bottom ninjas aren't very friendly to each other. Hinata, Ino, and Sakura walked into Sand Hideout's lounge. Ino and Sakura were obviously a little afraid of my love, and at this moment, they were timidly hiding behind Hinata. My love and Kankuro also discovered Hinata's group for the first time. Kankuro unconsciously took a step back, but he also felt a little embarrassed. Kankuro met Hinata twice, and both times, he was defeated in a second. Now, his fear of Hinata is second only to my love. Kankuro was about to take a step back. If no one noticed him, no one would find out that he did such a shameful thing. Looking around, Kankuro finally found that Hinata's eyes were staring at him. Hinata waved to Kankuro and said with a smile, Little handsome, come here. Kankuro, I'm an ugly bee starred, the person she called must not be me. By the way, my love is much more handsome than me, the person she called must be my love. Seeing that Kankuro didn't move, the smile on Hinata's face became more gentle, and he said word by word, I let you give me pass come. Kankuro was like a puppet, and he was activated by Hinata's words. Walking stiffly in front of Hinata, Kankuro tried to maintain his inner calmness and said with a stiff expression, Shinobu, may I ask? What's the matter? Hinata looked around at Ino and Sakura. The two of them were also confused at the moment, and they didn't know how to ask. Although the Ninja Academy has taught torture methods such as extortion of confessions, they only briefly explained it and didn't make a detailed introduction. As for how to get information, Hinata hasn't done it himself. Cough cough. After pondering for a moment, Hinata looked at Kanjialang and asked, Does your Sand Hideout know what death by 1,000 cuts is? Death by 1,000 cuts? What the hell? Kankuro didn't want to appear ignorant and lose face for the Sand Hidden Village, so he immediately nodded and said, I know. What's wrong? It's fine. Hinata stretched out his finger and scratched his face. He was a little depressed in his heart. Does the ninja world have such a punishment as death by 1,000 cuts? They couldn't threaten him. Ino looked sideways at the battle below. At this moment, Shikamaru was forced into a desperate situation by the hand bow. She was a little worried about Shikamaru's situation, but she forced herself to calm down and said, This hand bow from the sand is quite powerful. Kanjialang said smugly when he heard that, Humph. The hand bow can use a large-scale wind-release ninjutsu through the fan, eliminating the trouble of hand seals. When she revealed the third star, a gaze full of killing intent stared at Kanjialang's back, making him stop abruptly. Kanjialang was a little depressed. What's wrong with me? Why did I reveal my sister's information so easily? Looking at Hinata, Kanjialang thought, Is it because I'm too afraid of this Hinata? Hinata felt that this kind of thing wasn't suitable for him, so Hinata decided to go straight to the point. Is your sand hidden village? Before Hinata finished his words, he was interrupted by someone. Hinata, Ino, Sakura, my love, and Kanjialang turned their heads at the same time. Hinata, Ino, and Sakura exclaimed in unison, Shino? Why are you here? Kanjialang was sweating in an instant. When did this person come? Shino was full of pressure and said gloomily, I've been here since the beginning. Kanjialang almost vomited blood and died. You've been here since the beginning? Before the hand bow came down, the three of them discussed a lot about the plan. This Shino shouldn't have heard all of it. Hinata was a little embarrassed, but then he said with enthusiasm, Shino, what's the matter? Shino nodded slightly and said lightly, I have something to tell you. Kanjialang was going crazy, it's over. The sand hideout's plan is going to be exposed. Kanjialang looked back at my love and asked with his eyes, Do you want to kill him? My love looked back indifferently, You want to go? Anyway, Mori Crane is scared, I'm not going. Kanjialang turned his head as if nothing happened. I don't know anything. Hinata said, Then let's go out and talk. Kanjialang said with a smile, Shinobu's friends, take care. When the four of them walked to the door, Hinata suddenly looked back at Kanjialang and said, You're a good person, I'll remember you. Kanjialang, please forget about me, I beg you. After Hinata and the others left, Kanjialang suddenly felt that even if he stayed alone with my love, it was not so terrible. One monster was better than two monsters. Walking out of the lounge, Hinata and the others found a corner where there was no one. Hinata looked at Shino and asked, Shino, did you hear anything from the sand hideout? Shino nodded and said, Yes. They seemed to have a plan, but they didn't say anything specific. Hinata showed a, as expected expression and said solemnly, Actually, I also noticed this. This time, I went to find my love and the others to find out more information. Ino and Sakura looked at Hinata with admiration. Hinata was really amazing. He was so strong, smart, cute, and had a good figure, and a good family background. Thinking of this, the two of them suddenly felt a little inferior. Only Shino knew the whole truth, but he didn't dare to say it. After many years of secret observation, Shino knew far more information than anyone else. For example, a certain narrow-minded person. Hinata also gave Shino a thumbs up, with this sentence, I can report it to my father and let him prepare early. Hinata continued, Let me tell you, one of Shinobu's Sannin, Orochimaru, is the S-class fugitive who recently returned to Shinobu. And the other Sannin, Jiraiya, also appeared in Shinobu. Something big must happen today. Ino said worriedly, Hinata, what should we do? Hinata thought for a while and suggested, Why don't we go back to our families and tell them first, and then tell Jounin-sensei? We are just genin, it's already good enough that we can find out about the sand hideout's evil intentions. The rest of the matter should be left to the Jounin. Shino agreed, Sakura, you go find Kuroda-sensei, she should be with Asuma-sensei. After informing them, you go home first. Ino, I'll leave it to you to inform your family. Hinata, I just saw Hayashi-sama in the audience, and Akai-sensei should also be there. Shino's arrangement was not bad. Hinata didn't have any objection and nodded in agreement. However, there was one thing that Hinata was quite concerned about. I don't seem to be suitable for extracting information, and torture is not suitable for the cute girl style. So, how should I inquire about information in the future? Chapter 93. After separating from the crowd, Hinata found Hyogo who was sitting in the audience. Looking around, Akai and Shaoli were also there. Father Hanabi, you came to watch my match. Hyogo nodded slightly. As soon as Hanabi saw Hinata, she smiled and said with admiration, Sister, you were so powerful, you defeated that guy named Naruto so easily. Hyogo's face sank, and he said softly, Hanabi. In any case, the two daughters of the Hyuga main clan should at least have some etiquette skills. He didn't count on Hinata, but he could count on Hanabi. Hinata complained for Hanabi, Father, why are you so serious? Hanabi is only 7 years old this year. She's at the age of enjoying the joy of childhood. Why do you always look so serious? After a pause, Hinata suddenly looked at Hyuga Hayashi with a cute look, blinked, and said, Why don't you teach me ninjutsu after the Chunin exam is over? Hyogo's face stiffened. Are you threatening your father? It's over. I'm no longer the master of this family. Hyogo's status in the family -1 inch right. Hinata remembered the important matter, and lowered her voice and said seriously, Father, I have something very important to tell you. Hyogo's face was serious. He looked at Hanabi, got up, and said, Hanabi, come with me. Hua Hua nodded her head and followed him. In the corridor of the venue, Hinata used the Byakugan to investigate and saw that there was no one around, but she still lowered her voice and said, "Father, I just received news that the Sand and Orochimaru have joined forces, and they seem to be targeting Shinobu." Orochimaru? Hyogo frowned. Isn't Orochimaru's target Uchiha Sasuke? Hinata looked at Hyogo in surprise and asked, "How do you know?" Hyogo said, "A month ago, Orochimaru's men, Apothecary's Pocket, attacked Uchiha's house. Fortunately, Kakashi arrived in time, otherwise Sasuke would be in danger. But that night, Orochimaru personally attacked Sasuke. Although Kakashi was secretly protecting him, he was seriously injured by Orochimaru." Hinata exclaimed, "Kakashi, Sensei was injured by Orochimaru. A month ago, wasn't that the day when the 11 geniuses gathered at the barbecue shop after the second exam?" Hyogo nodded and said lightly, "Kakashi and Sasuke stayed in the hospital for a week to recover from their injuries, and then they disappeared. But this is Shinobu's top secret. You are just a geniuses, so you don't know about this." Hinata's mood was a little depressed. Does a geniuses like him deserve to know nothing? Hyogo continued, "In the middle of last month, Hay-8 Gecko seemed to have found some clues, but he was killed before he could report it to the village." Hinata nodded. This was something that Hinata had already expected. In the third round of the Chunin exam, Hay-8 Gecko interrupted the 3 generations several times. He was seeking his own death. Hinata was a little depressed. "So, you already knew the news?" "I even risked my life to go to the Sand Village to get information." Hyogo said solemnly, "Shinobu didn't know that Orochimaru had joined forces with the Sand Village, but this time, the Chunin exam was indeed a bit unusual, and the village was prepared for the worst." "Hinata, it's amazing that you can inquire about this. You know more than the village." Hinata took a breath, looked up at Hyogo, and asked, "Is the family ready?" Seeing that Hinata's first thought was to care about the family, Hyogo felt that his heart was about to melt. "I'm too proud." Originally, when he sent Hinata to the Ninja Academy, Hyogo wasn't worried about Hinata's strength, but that Hinata would be brainwashed by Shinobu. After all, the Hyuga family has been integrated into the Shinobu, and Hinata insisted on going to school, so Hyogo didn't stop him too much. In the original story, Hana didn't go to the Ninja Academy. Although Hayashi didn't know the truth about Uchiha Itachi and Uchiha Shisui, as the clan leader, he could more or less perceive it. Hyogo looked at Hinata with relief, and thought, "Fortunately, my family's Hinata is not that kind of person." Hyogo felt some sympathy for Uchiha Fugaku. Although Hyuga Hayashi was defeated in the matter of giving birth to children. But in the idea of raising future generations, Uchiha Fugaku is not Hyogo's opponent at all. Hyogo solemnly said, "The family is fully prepared, and this is all thanks to you providing us with the information about Orochimaru." Hinata nodded and said, "Oh. Since the family and the village are ready, then there's no problem." Hinata thought about it carefully. Since the village already knows the general information, it's better not to tell Akai. After all, if Akai explodes, he has the strength to kill Orochimaru. In case 3 generations don't die, then it's not fun. Hearing this, Hua Hua was a little confused. She first looked at Hyogo and then looked at Hinata. She didn't know what the two were talking about. Hyogo held Hua Hua's hand and said to Hinata, "Hua Hua and I will go back to watch the game first. When Niji's game is over, I will send Hua Hua back home." Hinata nodded slightly. No wonder he didn't see Niji's father, Hyuga Hisashi. It turns out that the family is really prepared. Hyogo continued, "Hinata, you stay in the venue." "Huh?" Hinata was a little stunned. "Can't I help more if I go home?" Hyogo was very pleased, showing a rare smile, and slowly said, "You are Kakashi's disciple. Staying in the venue will be more beneficial for you to compete for the position of Naruto in the future." Hua Hua said, "Sister wants to be Naruto?" Hyogo looked down at Hua Hua and slowly left with Hua Hua. Regardless of whether Hinata wants to be Naruto or not, staying in the venue to fight the enemy at this time will indeed help Hinata accumulate prestige. Hinata is the heir of the Hyuga family. Hinata's prestige is the prestige of the Hyuga family. And with Hinata's current strength, Hyogo doesn't have to worry too much. When Hyogo walked away, Hinata curled his lips. Umph. Worry in vain. Although from the original story, Shinobu's ninjas seem to have died a lot, most of the civilians are fine. It's just that this world has been changed a lot by Hinata. At least in the Forest of Death, Orochimaru's whereabouts were not exposed. But since Orochimaru has already made a move on Sasuke, and Kakashi was seriously injured by Orochimaru, it seems that Sasuke's heart will be more determined to follow Orochimaru. That's good. Hinata thought, 3 generations are gone, if Sasuke and Naruto stay in the village, it will be easy for Danzo to plot against them. Chapter 94. When Hinata returned to the venue, the battle between Shikamaru and Hand Bao was already over. The process of the match was similar to the original story. Although Hand Bao had the upper hand at the beginning, he fell into Shikamaru's trap and lost due to his carelessness. It's just that Shikamaru didn't have enough chakra, so he finally chose to admit defeat. In fact, it's not necessarily because he didn't have enough chakra. It's also possible that Shikamaru is lazy, or he's good at flirting with girls. The third match is about to start, Sasuke versus my love, but Sasuke hasn't arrived yet. Naruto leaned on the railing and looked around, constantly complaining, "What the hell is Sasuke doing? Kakashi, sensei, where the hell did he go? If he doesn't come back, Sasuke will lose the qualification to take the exam. And Sakura and Ino aren't here either." The third match dragged on for a long time, and the venue was noisy, and the audience kept complaining. In fact, many of the audience at the scene came for Sasuke. Although the Hyuga family is not inferior to the Uchiha family is extinct after all. If you want to see the Hyuga family fight, there are still many opportunities to do so. But Sasuke, as the orphan of the Uchiha family, is valued by many people. Sandame Hokage and Orochimaru, who was disguised as Yondaime Kazekage, talked about something, and finally decided to postpone the third match to the fourth, and start the fourth match between Neji and Choji. Hinata rested his chin on his hands and looked at the two people in the field with some boredom. Although he didn't know what kind of training Choji went through this month, if he didn't take the tricolored pill, he would never be able to beat Neji. Although taking tricolored pills in the Chunin exam is allowed, it won't give Choji any extra points. Moreover, even if Ding Ji defeated Ning Ji by taking drugs, he wouldn't be able to fight the next battle. Therefore, this match did not arouse Hinata's interest at all. Choji was either rolling on the ground like a meat tank or throwing kunai bombs at Neji. He had learned the tactic of spending money. Shikamaru walked up with a relaxed expression. Although he had been suppressed miserably just now, his performance was very stunning. "What the hell is Sasuke doing? Did he forfeit?" Shikamaru glanced in the direction of the sand hideout trio and said indifferently, "But this is also Ming Ji's choice. That sand hideout guy with the gourd on his back is indeed not to be trifled with." Coincidentally, Sand Hideout's Hand Bao also turned her head to look at Shikamaru. Shikamaru turned his head awkwardly. Hinata joked, "Shikamaru, you can do it. It seems that Sand Hideout's Hand Bao has already given her heart to you." Shikamaru panicked and said, "Hinata, don't joke around." "What are you talking about?" Naruto's face was full of confidence in Sasuke and snorted, "Sasuke, that guy, will definitely come." Hinata also helped Sasuke a rare sentence. "Sasuke will definitely come, but I'm afraid that he will learn from Kakashi's bad habit of being late. It's better if he doesn't come after the exam is over." "Oh my god!" Hinata suddenly exclaimed. Thinking of Sasuke, Hinata couldn't help but think of my love. Thinking of my love, he couldn't help but mention the two cannon fodders who wanted to prevent my love from winning the competition in the original manga. This Chunin exam, there's a bet. Hinata looked at the sky with tears in his eyes. "I may have missed out on hundreds of millions." Naruto looked at Hinata with some worry, and wondered, "Hinata, what's wrong with you?" Shikamaru was also a little surprised. Hinata shouldn't have thought of something bad again, right? Hinata ignored Naruto, but looked at Shikamaru and asked, "Shikamaru, do you know about the Chunin exam?" Shikamaru nodded and said, "I've heard of some, it's just some boring things that nobles play with. Hinata, why are you asking about this? Hinata said miserably, what else can I do? Place a bet. Isn't the outcome of these games obvious? If I could have placed a bet in advance, I might have made a fortune by now. Shikamaru turned his face sideways. He didn't want to talk to Hinata. Hinata pulled Shikamaru and asked, Shikamaru, do you know where I can place a bet? If I place a bet now, I don't know if it's too late. But then again, when the game between Sasuke and my love starts, Shinobu's plan to collapse will also start. Shikamaru curled his lips and said lightly, the bet is outside, and ninjas are not allowed to bet. Hinata glanced at Shikamaru and said disdainfully, did you learn the transformation jutsu from Akamaru? Moreover, even if the transformation jutsu may be seen through, you can also let the civilians bet for you. Shikamaru, I was ridiculed by Hinata for my IQ. Hinata didn't want to talk to them. He was sad for the hundreds of millions he missed. Outside the field, the battle between Niji and Choji also came to an end. Choji's moves were big, but Niji's movements were flexible. After Choji used up all his kunai and explosive charms, he was hit by Ninji's gentle punches. Although Niji didn't suffer any injuries, he was a little embarrassed by the explosive tags. There was a sparse applause in the audience. This game really pulled down the level of the Chunin exam, and also made Shinobu lose face. What's going on in the next game? Uchiha hasn't come yet. The audience was in a hubbub, and the audience almost threw bottles at the field. Hinata glanced at the audience. Hyogo had already left with Hanabi. Hinata was slightly relieved. The venue will definitely become the center of the battle between the two sides. Hanabi was still young, and it was too dangerous for her to stay here. Naruto saw that Sasuke hasn't come yet, and jumped over the railing to the field in a hurry. He almost used transformation jutsu to become Sasuke and replace Sasuke. He's here. Although he didn't open the Byakugan, Hinata has mastered the Sage Jutsu, and his perception is still very strong. In the center of the field, a leaf slowly fell. Before the leaf fell to the ground, a whirlwind rolled up out of thin air, and countless leaves rotated with the whirlwind. The scene was extremely beautiful. Hinata imagined the scene. Kakashi and Sasuke were spinning back to back, holding a large number of leaves in their hands, and while spinning, they threw leaves around. That kind of scene. It's probably the same as the scene when emptiness appeared in the movie Journey to the West. It's just that because the figures of Sasuke and Kakashi were blocked by the leaves, the audience couldn't see the embarrassment of the two when they threw the leaves. They must be stupid. When the whirlwind dissipated, and the leaves fell, Kakashi and Sasuke had already made a pose and stood in the field. Wow! Uchiha is here! There was a burst of screams from the audience in the venue. Kakashi looked at Omniscient Fire Gunma with a smile and apologized without sincerity. Sorry, we're late. Omniscient Fire Gunma said, tell me your name. Uchiha. Sasuke. Chapter 95. He didn't know when it started, but Sasuke got a bad habit. As long as his strength improves, he will have the illusion that he is the best in the world. Looking at the high-spirited Sasuke, Hinata couldn't help but wonder if it started during the Chunin exam. That must be Kakashi's fault for teaching Sasuke such a cool move like Chidori. In order to match the cool move, Sasuke also had to show an attitude worthy of the cool move. So, he mastered the move. Hinata thought of Naruto again. Naruto's mouth seems to be very powerful. And as a member of the three gods, he can't only be strong, he must also have a unique move worthy of the move and the mouth. Well, Hinata touched his chin. Is there anything special about him? Can he use the Mo release? If he can master the Mo release, it should be very powerful. First of all, Mo is justice. And justice will prevail over evil. As long as he can master the Mo release, Hinata will always represent the side of justice. Maybe, in the future, he can really rely on acting cute and brushing his face to get through the ninja world. Thinking of this, Hinata smiled at Shikamaru beside him. Mo release activated. Shikamaru only felt a chill somewhere in his body. He didn't know what bad idea Hinata came up with, but he has already figured out Hinata's character with the high IQ inherited from the Nara family. The gentler Hinata's smile is, the crueler he will be in the future. Especially a certain move, kidney attack. Hinata just gave a cruel blow to Naruto in public, and he doesn't know if Naruto will die. One move to kill his descendants. How cruel. The future of the Nara family will be inherited by Shikamaru. Instinctively, Shikamaru wanted to turn his head. But he felt a little insecure, so he laughed and said, I have something to do, I will go out first. After that, Shikamaru quickly disappeared. Hinata didn't hate Shikamaru, but he was a little puzzled. Did his Mo release succeed or fail? It's reasonable to say that if the Mo release is successful, Shikamaru should be directly captured by the smiling Master Ball like Neji and Naruto. The legendary Otsutsuki Tonari had only peeked at him, and he had been caught in an instant. There's no reason it failed. Previously, when he used the budding release on Kanjialang, it seemed to be quite successful. Hinata didn't doubt his charm. This was all Shikamaru's fault. When she has a conflict of opinion with others, Hinata will first consider two things. First, Hinata will first reflect on himself. Is it all his fault? If it's his fault, he will think about how to push the blame to others. Second, Hinata will also think from the other party's point of view. Where did he get the courage to quarrel with me? When quarreling with others, he will first reflect on himself and then think from the other party's point of view to solve the conflict rationally. There's nothing wrong with that. Therefore, this must be Shikamaru's fault. He has fallen in love with the hand bow, so the Mo release failed. Hinata looked at Sasuke and Naruto, who was standing next to Sasuke. Fortunately, these two haven't mastered the mouth release and disguise release. I have to continue to cultivate the Mo release. Everything is for the three gods. Below the stage, Don't Know Fire announced that the game was about to start. Naruto ran all the way from the corridor with his short legs. Kakashi, on the other hand, used the body flicker technique and appeared directly in the audience. Yo, Akai. Kakashi rolled his dead fish eyes, scratched his head, and said with a listless look, Shaoli is also here. It seems that you have recovered well. Hinata ran all the way from the lounge to the audience with a smile on his face. He looked at Kakashi with his starry eyes and said cutely, Kakashi, sensei, you are finally here. I missed you so much. You want me to die, right? Kakashi's movements froze. Hinata's cute smile, in Kakashi's mind, was simply the smile of the Grim Reaper. The shadow behind Hinata seemed to have a pair of devil's horns and tail. At this moment, it was grinning at him with evil intentions. But I, Kakashi, am afraid? With so many people here, if he took a step back at this moment, what face would the famous copy ninja Kakashi have left? Fortunately, Kakashi was wearing a mask, and his left eye was covered by a forehead protector, so others couldn't see his expression clearly. I'm sorry. You must be very worried about me, I'm sorry. I haven't contacted you for so long. Hinata stared at Kakashi and didn't speak. Did this budding release succeed or fail? Kakashi's reaction seemed to be worse than Shikamaru's. That's right. Hinata walked to Kakashi's side and whispered, Kakashi, sensei, I heard that you and Sasuke were attacked. Are you okay? Kakashi was a little embarrassed and said awkwardly, You heard about it. With that said, Kakashi looked around a few times. In such a large venue, he only found 2 groups of 8 umbu. Hinata used natural energy to perceive Sasuke's situation. There was something wrong with his neck. If Orochimaru's curse of heaven didn't have his soul imprint, Hinata really wanted one. Not to mention whether it was powerful or not, the key point was that it was a little handsome. Below the field, Don't Know Fire Gunma waved one hand and shouted, Let the game begin. Sasuke had already seen my love's fighting style and knew the power of the sand. At this moment, he quickly retreated and opened the distance between him and my love. My love had a problem from the beginning. She covered her forehead and screamed in pain. Hinata looked at the situation below and suddenly said with dissatisfaction, What the hell is Sasuke doing? My love has a problem. He should take the opportunity to directly KO my love. Ninja's battle, what's the spirit of Bushido? To be honest, Sasuke really has this problem. He rarely sneak attacks. In the original work, every time Sasuke went to fight, even if he hid well at the beginning, Sasuke would come out from the dark and then face the enemy head-on. After a long while, my love finally recovered. She looked up at Sasuke and said lightly, "Come on." Sasuke smiled confidently and replied, "I'm coming." Then, the two of them started fighting. Sasuke's tactics were no different from the original work. After learning Chidori, he can use the qualitative change of Thunder attribute chakra to stimulate the cells, thereby greatly increasing his speed. Although this kind of increase can let Sasuke have Xiao Li's standard speed, Sasuke's consumption is actually much higher than Xiao Li's. Xiao Li only has the pure physical speed, but Sasuke has to consume chakra. Hinata secretly glanced at Xiao Li, who was standing next to Akai. Xiao Li was indeed somewhat unwilling at this moment. The failure of the battle with my love made Xiao Li somewhat self-doubt. Fortunately, there was Akai to comfort him. Xiao Li sensed and turned to look at Hinata. Hinata smiled gently and said softly, "You have to do your best." Xiao Li's eyes lit up. He gave Hinata a thumbs up, showed his big white fang and said to Hinata, "You have to do your best too." "Hinata, it's not easy. My budding escape has finally succeeded for once." Chapter 96. My love is being beaten by Sasuke. Is this the sand armor? Sasuke punched the sand on my love's face, waved his hand, and said with a chuckle, "Come on. If you don't do it, I'll do it first." In the audience, Hinata really couldn't stand Sasuke's fighting style. He looked around and saw Neji first, but didn't see Choji. Hinata sighed. Because Hinata is a candidate and has to participate in the competition, he didn't bring snacks. He originally thought that Choji would bring snacks, but Choji seems to have been beaten to the hospital by Neji. August, the sun is shining in the sky, and the sun is burning. The battle between Sasuke and Gaara was in full swing, and there were many climaxes. At this time, Orochimaru's plan to collapse Shinobu is getting closer and closer. Shinobu has already smelled the scent of war. Although for the time being, there is only some information about Orochimaru, and maybe the sand hideout is also involved, but Shinobu doesn't know how the enemy will attack for the time being. But Shinobu has already entered a state of war. The civilians began to evacuate, and ninjas have also arrived in every corner of the village. Hyuga family. Hyogo sent some of the branch ninjas to assist Shinobu in detecting the enemy, but left more forces to defend the Hyuga family's residence. No one will say that Hyuga Hayashi's approach is inappropriate. The Byakugan of the Hyuga main clan is Konoha's strongest strategic weapon besides the Bijou. In fact, it's not just the Hyuga family. At this time, the major ninja clans must first consider their own family, then the village. Don't look at Shinobu's performance now. Except for the 3 generations, there is almost no strong person in the village. But if Shinobu really wants to fight, even the Cloud Village is not a match for Shinobu. Danzo hiding in the sewers is not mentioned for the time being. Jiraiya and Tsunade are also not mentioned. Let's talk about Akai. I'll let you 4 Kage together, okay? Evening Elephant will make sure that you won't be left with any dregs. If Akai is really ruthless, he can deal with Shinobu together with the Kage of other villages. After all, Evening Elephant has 5 speed. And if the patriarchs of the major clans join forces, Orochimaru to stay in Shinobu. But the key point is that when Shinobu's collapse plan began in the original manga, Akai didn't even open the door, and none of the patriarchs of the major clans came to the venue to support. It's like, everyone believes that the 3 generations can beat Orochimaru. Kakashi and Akai, 2 elite jonin, have been cleaning up the trash in the venue. It's obvious that Shinobu is the cannon fodder, but the 2 of them are in a mess. Gunma has been confronting Maki, and it seems that he didn't even make a move. Jiraiya also seems to have been supporting outside, but the key point is that even the 3 generations don't believe that they can beat Orochimaru. And all of this is Danzo's fault. The 3 generations is still very loved by the villagers and ninjas of Shinobu. After all the ninjas attended his funeral and cried. Hinata, who knows the current strength of Shinobu, has no worries about the so-called Shinobu's collapse plan. Although Konoha is in a bit of a slump right now, Sand Village is already on its last legs. Since the 4th Kazekage was killed by Orochimaru, except for Chiyo and Ebizo, who else can be strong in Sand Hideout? After the death of the 4th Kazekage, the position of Kazekage was vacant for several years, and then it was taken over by my love. As for the Shinobu village of Orochimaru, except for the few ninjas with Kekkai Genkai, there is no one who can be strong. The younger generation of Shinobu hasn't grown up yet, but there is hope. And the only hope of the Sand Village is my love. So what Hinata has to think about now is how to get enough reputation. After all, this is the task given to Hinata by his cheap father Hyogo. Before he inherits the Hyuga family, Hinata has to be obedient. At most, he will be more diligent in the future, and often find Hyogo to practice ninjutsu. Outside the field, the battle between Sasuke and my love has reached the most critical moment. My love formed a ball of sand, trying to communicate with Mori Crane, and directly enter the Bijou state to kill Sasuke, and a certain Byakugan girl. Until Sasuke's Chidori penetrated my love's absolute defense. The attack finally began. In the audience, the #1 ninja in the world, Akai, was teaching a group of new ninjas what Chidori was and what Raikiri was. The new ninjas were shocked, and they exclaimed again and again, looking at Kakashi with some admiration. Kakashi looked calm, but he was enjoying it very much. Naruto looked at Sasuke's handsome face with envy and jealousy. Well, he is really handsome. Feather after feather slowly drifted down from the air. The soft feathers seemed to have a hypnotic effect. Hinata's eyes were dizzy, and she was about to fall to the ground and fall asleep. Hinata, Kakashi said, Shinobu has reached the most critical moment, we need your strength. Okay. Hinata made hand seals. Open. While walking, Hinata also stepped on Shikamaru, who was pretending to be asleep several times, and one of his feet directly stepped on Shikamaru's face. Shikamaru turned over with an innocent face, looked at Hinata and complained, I knew that revenge will come. On the high platform of the venue, 3 generations Naruto and Orochimaru, who was disguised as the 4th Kazekage, looked at each other. Orochimaru said lightly, Let's start. Boom. The smoke bomb exploded, and everyone on Hinata's side turned their heads and looked at the high platform. Orochimaru jumped on the roof with 3 generations, and the 4 shinobu also removed their disguises and stood in the 4 corners of the roof, quickly making hand seals. Ninjutsu. 4 purple flame formation. Under the field, Sand Hideout's Maki, Han Bao, and Kankuro also stood in front of my love, and Gunma stood in front of Sasuke. These 2 elite jonins from different camps will start a confrontation that will last for several hours, until the end of the war. Kakashi looked around and said faintly, There really are a lot of enemies. Looking at Shinobu's side, several Shinobu ninjas in the audience also removed their genjutsu at this moment. Some of them were jonins, and some of them were chunins. As for the side, Hinata, Naruto, Shikamaru, Niji, Shaoli, Kiba, and Sasuke, it's a good force. Akai said solemnly, Not only that, the situation has reached the worst point, look carefully at the center of the platform, there. Kakashi looked carefully and couldn't help but exclaim, Orochimaru. Akai said in a deep voice, To be honest, I'm worried about Naruto-sama. Kakashi glanced at the platform and said lightly, Leave it to the Umbu to deal with it, Naruto-sama won't be killed so easily, because he is our shinobus. Naruto. Hearing this, Hinata glanced at the high platform. And there are only 2 Umbu squatting outside the 4 purple flame formation. That place can be left to them. And I also believe that Naruto-sama won't be killed so easily. He is the strongest Naruto of 3 generations. How can he not defeat Orochimaru? Chapter 97. Seriously speaking, when Shinobu's Naruto died in battle, there was no one to support them. The first generation fought against Uchiha Madara, the second generation intercepted Ginkaku and Ginkaku, the third generations fought against Orochimaru, the fourth generation sealed the Nine Tails, and they all had no one to support them. Although there are various reasons, Naruto's position seems to have been cursed. Tsunade and Kakashi had a good ending, the former experienced the death of his lover and brother, and the latter was even more tragic. His father and teammates died one after another. Perhaps it was because they had seen through the world, or perhaps it was because it was a peaceful period after the Fourth Shinobi World War. Both of them couldn't wait to pass on the Naruto's position to the next generation. But now it seems that Kakashi gave the Naruto's position to Naruto when he was in the prime of his life, which was indeed a wise choice. Whether Naruto can live to a good end or not, it's really difficult. Boom! 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 Around Shinobu, explosions sounded, and signal flares rose into the air one after another. The war has really begun. Dozens of shinobu in uniform came out of nowhere and lined up in the audience to confront the scattered shinobu. Whoosh! Whoosh! Two figures quickly attacked Hinata. Hinata clapped his hands, and the two shinobu died instantly. Killing two enemies with a raise of his hand, Hinata's heart was calm, and he was even a little hungry. Kakashi took time to take a look at the arena. My love, Handbao, Kankuro, and Sasuke had disappeared. Coming to Hinata's side, Kakashi said seriously, Hinata, Sasuke is tracking my love of Sand Hideout. You have the qualifications to be a Chunin. Now immediately choose a suitable teammate to assist Sasuke. My love. Seems a bit wrong. Good. Hinata agreed. Defeating the Ichibi's Jinchuriki of Sand Hideout can indeed show off in the village. If he can capture my love, it will be a sharp weapon to negotiate with Sand Hideout. However, Hinata still hesitated and asked, Kakashi, sensei, do you mean what you said? Kakashi was stunned. What? Hinata said discontentedly, Chunin. You said that I have the qualifications to be a Chunin. Don't forget to recommend me to Naruto-sama. Kakashi. Go. In fact, Hinata is indeed qualified to be a Chunin. It's not just a qualification in terms of strength. In terms of strength, Naruto and Sasuke also have the strength of a Chunin. But like Sasuke, who clearly has a great disparity in strength between himself and the enemy, but still manages to catch up alone, it's impossible for him to be a Chunin in his lifetime. Naruto is probably the same. But before that, Hinata glanced at the direction of the high platform. In the four purple flames formation, Orochimaru has already summoned Shodame and Shodame. For the ultimate dream of shuriken, Hinata took out a shuriken from the ninja tool bag and seriously aimed at Shodame Naruto in the four purple flames formation. Then, he threw it out. Kakashi looked at Hinata with a confused face and wondered, Hinata, what are you doing? There doesn't seem to be an enemy there. At this moment, Hinata's body seemed to be exuding a dazzling light. Looking at Kakashi, Hinata said solemnly, I am throwing a shuriken at Shodame Naruto. From today on, I am a ninja who has fought with Shodame Naruto. Kakashi. Kakashi glanced at the high platform. Is this okay? Should I try it too? Hinata punched a hole in the wall of the venue and shouted, Shaoli, Shikamaru, Naruto, Akamaru. Come with me. Niji, Aisen, you stay here and assist Kakashi, Sensei and Akai, Sensei. Okay. Niji responded and said, Be careful. Byakugan. Only one would be enough. Because Kiba was also in the team, Kakashi didn't use summoning technique. If he didn't bite his finger, Kakashi may be able to pass Shinobu's plan without any injuries. Let's go. After saying that, Hinata rushed out first. Shaoli, Shikamaru, Naruto, and Kiba quickly followed. No one knew when Shino had returned, but no one really noticed him. Seeing that Hinata and the others had already caught up, Shino followed behind expressionlessly. In the blink of an eye, Hinata and the others had already chased Shinobu to the outside of the village. Hinata looked at Kiba and said, Akamaru, tracking Sasuke is up to you. Kiba was dissatisfied. Hey, don't you have Byakugan yourself? Shikamaru gently pulled Kiba. Brother, don't talk if you don't want to die. We've been in the same class for 6 years, don't you know? Hinata explained, using Byakugan consumes chakra, and I'm the strongest in the team, so I must maintain the best state. Shinobu's Hyuga family, Aburame family, and Inazuka family are all families proficient in perception ninjutsu. Although Byakugan plays the biggest role in the war, the other two families also have their own advantages. Inazuka family's ninja dogs can detect the enemy's traces only by their nose, but it is easy to be misled by the enemy's smell. As for Aburame family's insects, the limitations are also great. Hyuga family's Byakugan consumes chakra, but as long as the Byakugan is activated, the accuracy of detection is the most comprehensive. Seeing Hinata patiently explain to Kiba, Shikamaru's courage also increased. But, why do I have to follow? It's too troublesome. Hinata glanced at Shikamaru and said lightly, your shadow technique is most suitable for dragging the enemy, and we have to catch up with my love as soon as possible. If we encounter a very troublesome enemy, you stay behind to drag the enemy. Shikamaru, isn't that asking me to die? It's really troublesome. Akamaru moved his nose and barked twice. Kiba shouted, this way. Woof woof. Kiba looked back and said with a dignified expression, Shikamaru, your trouble is coming. There are 2 teams behind, a total of 8 people. Woof woof. Oh. A total of 9 people, one of them is Shino. Shikamaru's face was filled with panic as he wailed. Ah? Someone has already caught up? Are you kidding me? Hinata just said that there are people chasing them, and he asked Shikamaru to drag the enemy, die. But Akamaru found the enemy just as he said that. Is there such a coincidence? Hinata turned his head and asked, Akamaru, how far is the enemy from us? I mean, if we stop, how long will it take for them to catch up? Woof woof. Kiba translated, if we stop now, we will encounter them in 30 seconds at most. Hinata suddenly stopped and shouted, you guys go now, I will catch up soon. Although they just said that as long as the enemy appears, Shikamaru will stay behind to die. But that was just a joke between friends. 8 cannon fodder Shinobu, Hinata can kill them in an instant. Hinata also wanted to let Shikamaru fight with hand bow to create an opportunity for him to flirt with girls. I am really the kindest. Chapter 98. Byakugan. Open. Hinata clenched his fists and condensed chakra fist, and then began to integrate natural chakra. Only 10 seconds later, Hinata and 2 teams of Shinobu encountered each other. 8 people. 40 gods air attack plus 8 trigrams air palm. King bomb. Boom. 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 After one move, Hinata turned around and left. Real man, never look back at the explosion. 2 minutes later, Hinata caught up with Naruto and the others. Shikamaru looked at Hinata strangely, this is too fast. And the roar of the explosion just now, although he didn't see Hinata's ninjutsu with his own eyes, it was obviously not something a genin can use. Akamaru was so scared that he hid in Kiba's arms and trembled. So obedient. A few miles ahead of Hinata, Sasuke finally stopped my love, Kankuro, and hand bow. Don't try to escape. Although Sasuke was a little tired, looking at the injured my love, and Kankuro and hand bow, who didn't seem to have any fighting power, he smiled proudly. Kankuro took off the crow puppet behind him, looked at Sasuke, and said, hand bow, you take my love and go first. Hand bow looked at Kankuro with a complicated look and said, then you. Kankuro's tone was soft, but he said firmly, there is no way, let me deal with him. No. Your opponent is me. Shino came out of nowhere with his hands in his pockets, looking extremely arrogant. Shino's face was crawling with insects, and he said lightly, I will deal with him, let's go. Sasuke looked at Shino and asked, you seem to be very confident, can you really do it? Shino said faintly, don't worry, I'll cover you in 10 minutes. Sasuke snorted. At that time, I had already finished the battle. Woof woof. You translated, Sasuke has stopped, and Shino is also there. Hinata looked at Kiba and asked, Akamaru, how far are we from Sasuke? Woof woof. Soon. Hinata looked ahead and said in a low voice, Continue to accelerate. On the other side, Kankuro looked at Shino with a gloomy face and said in a strange tone, You really don't know anything. I feel that none of you have ever experienced what the true terror of this world is. What the hell is that? Hinata shouted and brought Naruto, Shikamaru, Kiba, and Xiao Li to surround Kankuro. Kankuro suddenly turned his head, and his face was extremely ugly. At this moment, it was a fatal terror for him. Hinata just paused for a moment, and then both of his palms hit Kankuro at the same time. One hit Kankuro, and the other hit his puppet. Kankuro gritted his teeth. This kind of invisible attack again. Kankuro jumped into the air, and at the same time, he waved the chakra string in his hand, manipulating the crow puppet to jump down from the tree and avoid Hinata's attack. The advantage of puppeteers is that as long as the chakra string is not broken, they can control puppets from a distance. Before Kankuro could show a proud smile, hundreds of Naruto fell from the tree one by one like dumplings, and directly pressed Kankuro back to the ground. Bang bang bang. Hinata has never experienced the feeling of being besieged like this, but he thought that Kankuro must feel very good. He heard it from his screams. Continue to chase. Shino, you come with me. After calling Shino, Hinata's team expanded from 5 to 6 people, and rushed toward my love. Behind them, Naruto's shadow clones exploded one after another. After all the shadow clones disappeared, Kankuro was left with a swollen nose and a swollen face. Not far ahead. Hand bow. Put me down. The hand bow stopped and looked at my love with concern. My love, are you awake? Ugh. My love covered her forehead and screamed in pain. The seal in my love's body is different from Naruto's complete 8-trigram seal. My love is actually a kind of experimental product of a Jinchuriki. Using the incomplete seal, my love can transform into a bijou at any time. At that time, the Third Shinobi War was coming to an end, the Sand Hidden Village was the first to be defeated, and the strength of the village fell to the lowest point. In order to protect the Sand Hidden Village, the leaders of the Sand Hideout Village created a Jinchuriki weapon like my love. Using the incomplete seal, my love can transform into a bijou at any time. At that time, in the eyes of many people, my love was actually a failure. But the existence of my love more or less gave the Sand Hidden Village some sense of security. My love suddenly turned her head and said coldly to the hand bow, Hand bow, get out of the way. What? Bang. My love punched the hand bow, panting slightly, looking at Sasuke who caught up alone. In fact, in my love's heart, she still cared about the hand bow and Kankuro very much. Otherwise, he wouldn't have sent the hand bow flying when he was about to transform into a tailed beast. Sasuke coldly said, Although I don't know what your intentions are, I will stop you. And I want to see your true face. Ugh. On my love's face, a violet pattern unique to Mori Crane had appeared. His expression was ferocious, and his eyes were filled with murderous intent. Saliva was dripping from the corner of his mouth. Ah! My love kept wailing. The right half of his body had already transformed into a tailed beast. His right eye had also become Mori Crane's eye. Just the murderous intent alone made Sasuke shudder. Shino, I'm afraid I won't be able to wait for you to come and help me. Oh. Hinata could already see the figures of Sasuke and my love from afar. He couldn't help but shout excitedly. Don't make a sound. Do you see what I found? It's a small raccoon cat. We can try to catch it. We can sell it to the Sand Hidden Village and exchange it for a lot of money. Seeing my love's true body, Naruto, Shikamaru, Kiba, Xiao Li, and Shino all had cold sweat. That thing is simply terrifying. At this moment, Shino finally understood what Kankuro meant by terrifying thing. Shikamaru curled his lips and complained to Hinata, Hey, what are you so excited about? Hinata looked at my love with shining eyes and whispered excitedly, "Sure. Keep your voice down, don't scare away our prey. My love must be very important to the sand-hidden village. If we can catch him, maybe we can sell him for billions. If Mori Crane can't eat him, then..." Humph! Hinata licked the corner of his mouth excitedly. The eyes of the 5 people around looked at Hinata at the same time. Sure enough, the most terrifying thing is actually on our side. Chapter 99. My love's eyes suddenly looked at the Byakugan girl behind Sasuke. In other words, it should be Mori Crane in my love's body that controlled my love to look at Hinata. The 9-tailed beasts all came from the Jubi. When they were the Jubi, they may have no self or memory. But when Hagoromo Sennin separated the 9-tailed beasts from the Jubi, the 9-tailed beasts more or less inherited some of the Jubi's memories. That's the memory engraved in the depths of the soul. For example, a certain young woman who was as supercilious as Hinata. When Mori Crane first met Hinata, it was in the Forest of Death. Hinata was different from other ninjas of the Hyuga clan. Due to the wish before crossing over, Hinata's body has automatically awakened the blood of the Otsutsuki clan. The blood is recovering on its own. In the Forest of Death, Mori Crane felt the power of the Otsutsuki clan, so he didn't dare to come out at that time. Even in Hinata's body, there is a faint power of the God Tree. If the Byakugan is the power of the Otsutsuki clan, then the Sharingan is the power of the God Tree. Therefore, although Hagoromo Sennin is the elder brother, the younger brother Hamura should be the pure Otsutsuki clan. And the Hyuga family is the main family of the Otsutsuki clan. But even Otsutsuki Kagaya, the ancestor of Chakra, her Byakugan did not evolve into the Tensigan. Therefore, the Tensigan also has a certain power of the God Tree. If the Rinnegan is mainly opened with the power of the God Tree and the power of the Otsutsuki clan as a supplement, then the Tensigan is a dojutsu that is mainly awakened with the power of the Otsutsuki clan and the power of the God Tree as a supplement. After Otsutsuki Kagaya swallowed the fruit of the God Tree, the power of the God Tree instantly gained the upper hand, so she opened the Rinnegan of the 9-Tomo Sharingan. Therefore, when Mori Crane sensed that Hinata had the power of Otsutsuki and Tree of God, he was so scared that he didn't dare to come out. However, as my love and Hinata approached each other several times, Mori Crane finally sensed it. Hinata's strength was actually still very weak. Then there was nothing to be afraid of. Ahahaha! My love laughed wildly, but no one knew whether it was my love himself or Mori Crane in his body that was laughing. Hinata's group of 6 came to Sasuke's side. Sasuke looked at Hinata and asked, "This guy is a little abnormal. What should we do?" Byakugan. Hinata condensed chakra on Byakugan. Without turning his head, Byakugan's vision had already seen through the Bagua seal in Naruto's body and saw the 9 tails in the sewer. When he was competing with Naruto, Hinata had already noticed the crack in the Bagua seal. Hinata pulled Naruto's hand. Naruto's face suddenly turned red. He looked at Hinata and said shyly, "Hinata, you." Hinata ignored Naruto and said to Sasuke and the others, "Come over, hold hands." Although they were a little puzzled, Sasuke and the others still held hands and connected with Hinata and Naruto. Hinata said softly, "Call little fox, call little fox. Please, lend us some of your power." In the sewer, 9 Tails sensed Hinata's eye power and was instantly enraged. "Bastard! It's you!" Hinata blinked and said cutely, "Little fox, don't be angry. Lend us some of your power, we are going to fight Mori Crane. Please, please. I'll just use the shadow clone technique. Activate Mo release. 9 Tails. Fight who? Fight Mori Crane? The fat tanuki that was yellow in poop and had purple patterns on its body that always called him Stinky Fox? Boom! In an instant, a surge of chakra flowed out of Naruto's body. Hinata, Sasuke, Shikamaru, Ivory, Shaoli, and Shino's crimson demon fox robes were instantly ignited. SK. Kyubi snorted proudly and closed his eyes, not wanting to talk to Hinata anymore. Hinata smiled and said, Thank you, little fox. I'll come and play with you when I'm free. Nine Tails, that damned Sundra, was no match for the cuteness card. She obediently lent her strength. Of course, it might also be because Hinata beat it up before. In short, Nine Tails was very obedient. On the other side, Mori Crane's Tanuki was in a bad mood. I seem to have met that stinky fox, and there are so many of them. My Jinchuriki. Don't tell me they are surrounded by that stinky fox. Sage of Six Paths, I want to report that Nine Tails is cheating. Mori Crane, should I let my Jinchuriki be killed by the other side? Wouldn't I be free then? In fact, if it were other tailed beasts, Mori Crane might really let my love be killed. But Nine Tails was different. Nine Tails had offended Mori Crane before, and it was the worst kind of offense. Nine Tails said, "The power of a tailed beast is ranked according to the number of tails it has." Alright. Mori Crane also admitted that Nine Tails was the strongest, but Mori Crane was definitely not the weakest. But the key point was that Nine Tails, who was once in a complete form, only had 8 tails in his eyes. The other 7-tailed beasts were no different in Nine Tails' eyes. They were all weaklings. Nine Tails felt that he was the strongest, and 8 Tails was second. Who cared about the remaining 7 weaklings? Let them be. My love let out a sharp and ear-piercing howl. Kill them. Feeling the surging chakra in his body, Sasuke and the others were instantly stunned. This is, Hinata explained, this is the hidden power in Naruto's body, we just borrowed it. Naruto scratched his head and wondered, since this is the hidden power in my body, why can you use it but I can't? That's right. Hinata and the others all had the demon fox coat, but Naruto was a pure Nine Tails Jinchuriki, but Nine Tails didn't lend him even a little bit of power. Hinata patted Naruto and comforted him, maybe Nine Tails hates you. But if you can make friends with Nine Tails, maybe he will lend you his power. Naruto nodded in agreement and hid to call Nine Tails. Shino. Protect Naruto. Hinata called out and said loudly, everyone, let's go. In fact, before chasing my love, Hinata had already thought of a way to deal with my love. Act cute and borrow power from Nine Tails. With Nine Tails chakra, even the novice genin like Shikamaru, Shino, Shaoli, and Kiba can exert super strong power. If Nine Tails doesn't lend it, then they can only retreat first. Fortunately, although Nine Tails is a little arrogant, he can't beat the power of Mo Release, and when he heard that he wanted to beat Tanuki, he was easy to talk to. Then, next, he can't give my love a chance to completely turn into a tail beast. As long as he hit Mori Crane like when he hit Nine Tails, my love will become a turtle in a jar. Then, he will bring my love back to Shinobu and exchange some money with Sand Hideout Village. Chapter 100. Just how strong was Nine Tails? In the manga, during the Fourth Shinobi World War, when Hyogo put on the demon fox coat, he hit the Jubi's tail with an empty palm. The strength of Nine Tails' chakra lay not only in its quantity, but also in its quality. Hinata was only slightly weaker than Hyogo when he didn't use any immortal techniques. He was weak in the cultivation of the gentle fist, and also in the experience of actual combat. If Hinata had Nine Tails chakra and used the immortal technique chakra on top of that, he would have been able to do so. Even if Mori Crane appeared in his complete form, Hinata would still be able to put up a fight, let alone the incomplete form of my love. Go! Sasuke quickly formed a seal with his hands. Fire escape. Grand Fire Dragon technique. The huge fire dragon attacked my love and blocked my love's vision at the same time. Ah! My love howled crazily. He was about to lose his mind. Just as she was about to jump into the air to avoid the fire dragon, my love found that her body was completely unable to move. His shadow had already merged with Shikamaru's shadow. My love took a direct hit from the scorching fire dragon. Hinata's figure followed closely behind the fire dragon and rushed towards my love. My love struggled violently, and with Mori Crane's strength, she finally broke free from Shikamaru's shadow technique. After all, Shikamaru was still a little weak. Even with the help of Nine Tails chakra, he was only at the level of a jonin. The fire dragon dissipated, and my love saw Hinata rushing towards him. My love attacked Hinata with a crazed expression while waving her right claw that had turned into sand. Squeak squeak squeak, Chidori's cry sounded, and Sasuke appeared behind Gaara. Chidori pierced out, and Gaara's right arm was instantly torn off by Chidori. Well done. Hinata condensed chakra on Byakugan. His gaze pierced through the seal in my love's body and saw Mori Crane sealed in his body. He pointed a finger at my love's abdomen. This time, there was no change in Hinata's eyes, but this finger contained the great power of the Nine Tails. Somewhere inside my love's body, Mori Crane could feel that the chakra of a certain smelly fox was surging towards him through the cracks of the seal. Mori Crane struggled madly, channeling all of his chakra to resist this force. Ah! My love had turned into Mori Crane's right eye, staring straight at Hinata. Hinata was a little embarrassed. Why didn't it work this time? Hinata pointed again. My love's howls became even more ear-piercing and shrill. But he still maintained his half-tailed beast form. Bang! Hinata kicked my love and used the force to retreat quickly. My love wanted to chase after him, but Shaoli kicked her chin hard. Shaoli leaped into the air, wrapping my love with a bandage on his arm, spinning as he fell from the sky. Boom! A huge crater appeared on the ground. On the other hand, although Shaoli had used lotus flower, his condition did not deteriorate at all. Some minor injuries were healed almost instantly by the Nine Tails chakra. Nine Tails was so powerful. Yatonga! On the ground, before my love could react, 2 red and white whirlwinds hit my love again. Hinata landed on a tree. He first condensed chakra fist, then quickly merged with the natural energy. After Kiba's attack, Hinata waved her Senjutsu chakra fist and rushed towards Gaara. 8 trigrams, 64 palms. Although Hinata did not know why his acupoint sealing technique could not defeat Mori Crane, the 2 fingers did seem to have attacked Mori Crane in my love's body. Since that was the case, he might as well use Nine Tails chakra and the immortal chakra fist to seal all the acupoints in my love's body. If he combined Nine Tails chakra with the immortal chakra fist to seal all the acupoints in my love's body, he might be able to stop my love from turning into a tailed beast. Bang bang bang! After a series of attacks, my love was sent flying. The sand on her body lost all its power and fell to the ground like ordinary sand. Bang! My love fell heavily to the ground. Not only was her chakra suppressed, but even Mori Crane's chakra could not be used. After all, Mori Crane's chakra was channeled through my love's meridians. When Mori Crane's chakra couldn't break through the seal, Mori Crane's power could no longer be exerted. Done. Ichibi Shikaku successfully captured. Tempura leaned against a tree. At this moment, she was already dumbfounded. Shinobu's genin. Are they so powerful? My love, who has turned into a half-tailed beast, couldn't even fight back and was beaten by Shinobu's genin. You know, in the sand-hidden village, once my love lost control, a few ninjas couldn't stop my love at all. Even Kage of the sand-hidden village would be alarmed. Shinobu's genin. Are they more powerful than Kage? Well, although it's a little bit worse now, in 3 years, the entire ninja world will be under Shinobu Kiba's control. That will be the era of Kage-level ninjas and jonins. Whoosh! Whoosh! Shinobu's genin landed beside Hinata and looked at my love lying on the ground. Shikamaru curled his lips and asked faintly, "What should we do with this guy?" Hinata looked at my love condescendingly and said, "Of course, we should bring back Shinobu and use him to negotiate with the sand-hidden village." Hinata forgot about the bet of the Chunin exam. He lost hundreds of millions of Ryo. If he doesn't earn it back from my love, Hinata may be depressed and won't be able to eat for several days. Naruto looked at Gaara with complicated eyes, showing an empathetic expression on his face, and said with a slight cry, "You must be in pain." My love also looked at Naruto. Although her face was expressionless, the feelings contained in her eyes were also extremely complicated. Through this fight, my love and Naruto both understood that the other side is just like themselves. But my love has no companion. And Naruto not only has a companion, but he can also lend the power of that monster to his companion. Happy, positive, hot-blooded, full of vitality, Naruto has companions. Such a Naruto made my love very envious. When darkness and light meet, it is always the light that dispels the darkness, and Naruto's light is dispelling the darkness in my love's heart. Hanbao jumped down from the tree and stood in front of my love. Even if she knew that she is not Shinobu Kiba's opponent, she still stood up resolutely. Looking at Hanbao's back, my love's heart was slightly touched. It turns out that I'm not someone who doesn't care about me. My love whispered, "Forget it." Hinata nodded his small head, then waved his small hand and shouted, "Little ones, take them back. Let my love see Naruto's life up close." You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.